I'm muted. Now I'm unmuted. Sup, everybody? This is Karak with ACG here with Abzy and Johnny. Silver couldn't make it. Doing the best gaming podcast for 23. We're going to talk about Modern Warfare's campaign being 3 to 4 hours long, is what I'm hearing. 3 to 4 hours long for a campaign.
Hell yeah, dude.
Just the
Fuck
rock,
yeah.
in and out. Michael Bay. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Dragon's Dogma 2. I read some stuff about how they've set up the game, no scripting, all this stuff, and some of the crazy shit that even the developers have seen with how the game sort of puts events together. I want to talk about that.
That's cool.
Let's see. We got a bunch of user questions. You guys put stuff into Discord. It's actually a pretty packed day, and then there's the Activision event at some point later today, too. I don't really care about their stuff until I play it, but I know that there's an event today. We're going to talk a little bit about the new Digital Foundry video. Well, maybe not talk about their video, but talk about the Switch, too, because they did they jumped in and sort of talked about their kind of stuff. Cryptic layoffs and what we want in a Bond game. Invincible. And then there's just a bunch of news stuff that people want us to talk about. Oh, and Alan Wake 2. Again, we're going to keep the spoilers to a minimum, right? We always do that.
Are we talking about Alan Wake again?
We're going to talk about it a little bit, sort of wrap up our thoughts, but not too much, because I think with Alan Wake, it's not only covered, the more we talk about it, the more there's a chance that we're going to bounce into a spoiler. It's just bound to happen. And
Yeah, for sure.
Spider-Man 2, people were talking, and I just kept backing off, going like,
It's because Alan Wake, like everything about it, everything about it links to the story. It's just rich with plot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very hard to even talk about an item, because the item might pair into the story, you know,
or the gameplay.
So,
Because you know there will be one element that's a surprise about something you can do and stuff.
Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit now, but the day that went live, I bitched about it in the last 2 podcasts, but an article went up about the deer heads, and they're collectible, or sort of collectible, I guess. But I was so mad, because I was just like, guys, man, when I first saw it, I even put Not the Partner as a joke in my review, because I was talking about them going together and working as a partner, and the deer came up, and I was like, Not the Partner. Like, it was just fun to make all these jokes and pretend it wasn't important. And then you just have these jackasses who are like, hey, here's how to collect, 200. And that makes the player look at the deer head different. I mean, you don't look at it as like, what is that? You look at it as that must be a collectible.
Yeah, as opposed to like, oh, why can I pet this? Oh, I can pet that. You know,
exactly.
It was like a feeling. It was a thing.
That's a good point about petting. Like when you pet a cat in a game, you sort of wait. Achievement or no? Or alert or no? If I get an alert, that means I pet all the cats' heads. And if I don't, that just means, they're just cool cats. What have you guys been playing? We'll go with Abzy first. What have you been diving into?
So I didn't have my PC for a day or so. So I decided to jump in and play Super Mario Wonder. And it's fucking sick, man. I'm surprised. There's a bunch of high skill cap levels, some high difficulty in there. Some really fun stuff. I really like the mechanic where you can you have like a skill that you can equip. So one of them would be like you could jump on a wall, but instead of wall jumping the other direction, you wall jump up. Or you could use your hat to kind of glide down and stuff like that. And you can equip them whenever you want for whatever level. So that adds a lot of cool variety. The power-ups have been really cool. There's every level has a distinct thematic element that ties into the gameplay, which is really cool. Like one level you'd have it'd be based around these charging bulls that you can get them to smash walls for you, and then the other one you have birds that shoot things that when they stick to a wall they make a platform. And there's a lot of crazy variety. And I look at it and I paid how much was it, $60 or whatever, and usually 2D games these days are max $40, $30, right? They're usually middleware at most. And this is what this is what it looks like for a AAA 2D game, you know what I mean? Made with just a quality ass game. So it's definitely worth it, and it's definitely really fun.
Did you
and it looks great.
I feel like it's almost like they figured out the level editor and the Mario game where you could make your own levels. It's almost like they gave it to the developers who are the best at Nintendo and said,
exactly,
you have 2 years to make the coolest effing levels, and that's why it's so. Each level, you're like, what's this? What's that? I know Takedown was complaining because there were some that were difficult though.
Yeah, there's some difficult ones, but it's really funny you say that, because as I'm looking at these different mechanics, I'm like, holy shit! Because you know how they add like all the recent Marios to the next Mario Maker. So I was thinking, oh my god, in Super Mario Maker 3, imagine using this tool. Like you could do a lot of cool shit with this. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like thinking about that, and it'd be awesome. You know, just endless content with these types of levels would be a blast.
There's something laid back about Mario or all Nintendo, even Zelda, obviously, like it's laid back about its entire world. It's just like everything's sort of sedate in all their games. And even Mario Wonder, it's like most busy. It's still like, what's up, man? Jump around. Jump around. And
it's crazy.
like,
it's like you don't hear the same level of ambitious stuff coming out. Like obviously for Zelda, you could say like Breath of the Wild was certainly ambitious, but it's just like they're just chilling, you know. They're just there's just like confidence, like the silent confidence where it's like, yo, just making quality games and putting them out
like
there.
When two people fight and the one guy's talking, the other guy's like, and says
exactly.
nothing, and you're all okay. He's either really good or mute, but you're like,
these two consoles are like fighting console wars and shit, and they're just chilling here, you know.
And Nintendo's over there going
in their
like,
own world.
If you get a chance, whatever. If you get a chance, come on over, check this game out. You know, the quiet nerdy chick that turns out to be an awesome girlfriend. What about you, Johnny? What have you been playing?
So on my stream, I've been playing Alan Wake 2, and I finished Spider-Man 2 today on my own time. I clocked 25 hours in it. I got a bunch of suits. I didn't find myself doing everything or unlocking all the suits, but I thought it was a good, I felt like that was worth it for the full price, and I enjoyed it a lot. We were kind of talking about it in the Discord today. I liked the, some parts of the story more than everything that the first game offered in terms of story. So, people know Venom is a part of the game. I don't want to describe how much or whatever, but those parts for me were good enough that any other story shortcomings were kind of overshadowed by it. I really enjoyed the Venom stuff, and I thought they did a great job using that as a part of the story. They got a lot out of it.
Yeah. What would you say, just a guess on total suits, ignore the colors, how many would you say? 70% of the suits you got? Probably 7 out of 10?
I think I got like 50.
Okay. Did you get any of the special ones for doing like the special side events that Spider-Man is so ill known for?
I got a few of them, but I gotta say I didn't bring myself to complete like all of them, man. I still think the side stuff is kind of one of the biggest weaknesses of the game. It's a little better. I would actually say the mini games are like 10% better than the first game.
Wow.
Which is notable.
It's notable. It's notable. Yeah. It's
notable, but I still, it's better than chasing farts, like you always say, right?
Yeah, in the first one.
In the first one.
Yeah, there was just like one distinct side quest line that was pretty good, but
in 2?
And one like side quest. In 2, in 2, there was like one side quest chain that was pretty good and varied. And then there was one like just side quest on the side that was pretty fun and relaxing and nice. But other than that, it's just stuff that you do a side quest and then it becomes like a collectible around the world that you have to go and do over and over and over and over.
Yeah. Dude, Insomniac, that's their weakness. I mean, I just think it's legitimately proven now that their weakness is side content and understanding that, yes, Spider-Man's a scientist, so therefore you have to be Peter when you do some computer atom smashing thing. But at some point you're like, well, if I can do it and I'm not a scientist, why couldn't Miles? Like, why are you making me switch to this other Spider-Man? There's a lot of that kind of stuff that goes on in the game that I'm just like, dude. Yeah, their stuff is weak when it comes, and I think that's awesome because the game's that good. Imagine, I don't know what Witcher 3 has amazing. In fact, I think Witcher 3's side quests are better than its main. So imagine Spider-Man side quests like going and hunting softer semi-bosses or something you know.
Yeah,
would be
like
the-
I did everything, right? I did everything kind of, but, like I didn't aim to, but on the way to missions when shit pops up, I just did them, and at the end
Yeah.
the map was good. But so one of them was just really annoying to do, like a whole quest line. Oh, I'm not gonna say which, but the ending of it, like the last level of it or the last quest of it, was awesome. I was
Mm.
like, fuck, man, like if only I wasn't mired down by all the bullshit before
Yeah.
it, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Reading
one
out
of
some
my
people go
favorite
ahead.
villains is in it. Yeah, that's all.
Is in the
one of my
side. Is
favorite
in the
villains.
side. You mean?
It's in the side quest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you
know
get
who
to
you're-
battle villains that you wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, you just mentioned that being the best one. That's why I wish all the sides were like mini semi-soft, like semi-villains. You know, where you
Like side stories and
yeah,
shit,
like side
you know what I mean?
stories. Yeah,
yeah.
instead of all being
Yeah.
trapped under, and they sort of trap themselves with Craven. He's the way he is makes that a little bit more difficult. But it'd be awesome.
So what they do, I think, is what their issue. I'm not a game that, like, I shouldn't be saying this, but I think their issue is that the context of it all is repetitive in of itself. You're doing the same repetitive thing, and obviously every game has a game loop. But I think if they were to focus on making the context different for the quest lines, like actual stories around them, having the combat be the same, like having it all be like, okay, you get to fight something or do, you know what I mean? That is fine, because that's the game's strength, I feel like.
Yeah.
So if it was just like, if all side quests just had fighting, but at the same time delivered cool like side stories and cool bosses, that would be awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I just
would.
don't care for the repetitive, like, oh, try to fucking, do the hacking thing, or, you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
yeah.
Reading some of the people in chat: B-Cat, Raphael, Spodlude, Benzo, Lansby. What's up, buddy? Tyler's in here. Boss GJ. Modern Warfare 3 is literally a full price DLC. Yeah, I mean, normally I would not agree a lot of times with that complaint, because you see it pop up for a lot of games. This one, yeah, I definitely would go there. Understanding, Gramsta, Understanding with a 3. I should get that right. Cheesy D, thank you everybody for showing up. And I'm not going to read the rest, but I definitely appreciate all you guys showing up for the podcast, because we do want to jump into it. Lancelot says, ACG finally starting playing Weird West, enjoying it way more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
And still playing BG3 and slowly making my way through The Last of Us 2. Weird West is the best out of all three of those games, just so you know.
Yes, Weird West is fucking awesome. I love those devs, and I hope they have announced that they're working on another game, and I wish them all the best, because I'm very, very there's very, very few immersive sim developers. So
yeah,
all the power to
there is
them.
definitely very few immersive sim devs. We're
Yeah.
starting to get to the point to where now you can count them not only in one hand, but also
They're like
count them on,
RTSs. Yeah.
well, yeah, true. Where they're
Yeah.
sort of faux
So
immersive sim.
sort of dead.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for showing up. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for chatting in general. I have been playing. I finished up Invincible for the review. That was a game. Yeah, it was a game.
Yeah,
And
okay.
yeah, we can talk about it a little bit later, but that was one of those ones where a niche within a niche. It's almost like when you get a racing game that's super high sim, but then doesn't let you race. It's just a management game. And so a very particular group comes out of your audience, and then another group from that group has to be your audience, and that's the way Invincible is. The one thing I liked about Invincible is your choices matter when you make it's a choose your own adventure book. So that part was awesome, but man.
Also, there are choices, and I watched your review. I don't remember you. touching
well, that's
on
because
choices.
I showed them, but I didn't talk about them too much because the overall game is the same. It's hard to describe, but it does some things. It's got different endings and stuff like that. It's great that it's a choose your own adventure, but they're few and far in between compared to the walking and the really close to almost instant motion sickness I think the game delivers to a lot of people, because it is The Martian and Ethan Carter mixed together, but they never leave the headset, and that means even looking for handholds is handset. So in the first 15 minutes, you're doing this all the time, looking up, down, around, falling. Clumsiest character ever. Like, legitimately, like Tomb Raider level, where Lara just gets the shit kicked out of her 24. So that's the way this character is. They did a really good job of playing it off as she's tired and all that, and which I get. That was great, but it made me sick. It definitely made me a little bit nauseous. I thought that maybe for people who have any kind of motion sickness, it might be a thing. Also, she has COPD. She can't run longer than 7 seconds. It's just it needs to go away. There is no reason. And dude, your vision fogs up even. So that tightens your vision more. So if you are susceptible to motion sickness and you're tired as the character and you're trying to climb, anybody who's like,
dude, how did she pass the astronaut test?
Yeah, right. We talk about that in military games. Like you get a Call of Duty or whatever, and the guy's tired after 14 seconds. And you're like, come on, guys.
You know what would save like walking sims like that would be like good puzzles and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and this one, its puzzles are to get to the next story. It's hard to describe. There is no flexibility of the puzzle. It's like 1, 2, 3.
So they're not gonna make me do algebra and shit on a paper. Okay.
My drink is invisible. Yeah, it's it's. I said it was probably a wait unless you're just deep into that, and we weren't allowed to show anything cool at all. And I looked at this embargo like 10 times, going, we can't show like anything cool, like anything after this particular event, which is the coolest part. That's when the cool stuff starts. So it was even hard to do as a review. It was one of those ones where you just I was unsatisfied when I posted it because I was like,
and the game itself looks like it's not the easiest to show, because I mean you're showing the guy walking in the sand for for hours 30 seconds
on end,
and that's the gameplay. But then you also can show some of the cool shit. It's
man.
It's a hard sell. Really.
I want to put. I mean, I would never push back on a publisher or anybody about their embargo. But I have at times said, "Can I show the trailer?" Because the trailer has stuff. But this distinctly was like, "Don't show these particular things," and that's in the trailer. So I was like, "Oh, you know what?" But Invincible, if you're a Flash Gordon fan, 1970s atomic punk, it looks very much, many times like Starfield in the mechanics of it all. So if you're a fan of like Sid Mead, art design, Moss, the older artists, you'll like it. King, $5 super chat. What's up, bud? Hi, team. What do you guys think about the Max Payne 1 and 2 remake announcement funded by Rockstar? I'm super psyched. Super psyched.
Oh yeah, I'm fucking hella psyched, dude. I mean, I'm just super psyched for anything Remedy does at this point. I'm super excited to see Control 2. Super excited to see the remakes. I'm all aboard what they're trying to do, man.
Sounds like they're putting some time into it, unlike GTA Trilogy. Remember that one?
Oh God, no. Yeah, these are like full-on remakes, and as opposed to, well, Final Fantasy VII was fucking huge. Okay, but as opposed to that, they're combining both games into one experience. I don't know whether it's like one full game that you go through, or like you go into the menu and then you choose Max Payne 1 and then Max Payne 2. All I know is that both of them will be both remakes. But both games will be for the price of one game, which is pretty cool.
Yep. I just I note them, so it's noted that it's coming. But until I see more,
they just started full production. Like they're not even.
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
Not even close. Yeah,
so it's like it's awesome that it's coming, but in between here and now, I feel like the game industry is a mess, and so it's like tomorrow Remedy could go out of business. I mean, it sounds weird. That wouldn't. You would hope that wouldn't happen, but we're going to talk about it today. There were more cuts. It's just cuts and cuts and cuts, and companies splitting up, and one company's doing well, and then a week later, they're laying people off. Or look at Bungie. They laid a bunch of people off, and then they're hiring for a different part of the, and you're like, you understand that not everybody can do every job, but at the same time, you're like, God damn, man. Like, the industry is in this, it's pretty hard flux, I would say, for a lot of people.
Yeah. Now, my question, though, about the Max Payne remakes is, are they going to use Sam Lake's face? I don't think they will, but...
I mean, it's iconic, though. It's like
it is iconic.
I would assume they will. I mean, I'm just guessing because he's so iconic now that if they did... Or what if they have a filter? You can turn it off and on.
Because if they do, like, they can make even more connections to the Alan Wake universe, but not really because of the IP stuff. But
that
man, it's all meta. Yeah, it's all meta.
Oh yeah, layers of meta.
Yeah. Like you're running around in Max Payne and there's a comic book laying on the ground. You pick it up and it's
Night
like
Springs.
AWE experiences
Like,
or something.
we're not
and you're
saying
like,
this is all connected, but
but we are, but we're not, but we are.
yeah,
They
you know.
pretty much are. They're just skirting around the IP stuff. They pretty much are connected. Yeah.
Lancelot, did you guys see the news for Bungie? How bad their financials were, and that Sony essentially bailed? Yeah, we did. Sony eventually bailed them out. Yeah. I mean, at Destiny, we love the shooting. We talked about this in the Wednesday podcast and last Friday's, but you can't live forever, right? On the same thing. I think that we've got too many games coming out that are good. All I hear is positive stuff for the finals. And if you're a shooter fan, it's hard to go to, it's like, oh, Destiny, I've done all their stuff, but the finals is coming. So it's like, I'll jump into that.
Finals is awesome. It's like Bad Company.
That's what I've heard, is that it's a really, really enjoyable game. I never got to is it still in demo mode?
Yeah, until like November 5th or something. But I realized, like, when I played with randoms, I realized, no, this needs a group of 3. This needs friends. That'd be a much better
probably
experience.
not the most fun with
randoms. Yeah. Yep.
Just off the top of my head looking at it. Let's see, what else do we got? Looking at the short news, we talked about Invincible, a little bit about Remedy. So Cryptic, Cryptic I'm a fan of. Admittedly, they don't release a ton of stuff, but they're the ones who did, like, they've done a bunch of MMOs, and they laid off people this morning because of the Embracer Group failure. That investment failure. And I'm just starting to feel like I hated it when it first happened, because Reg and I were bitching about, you don't want the investor running the company. But now they're affecting my company too. So I was even madder when it popped up. I was like, dude, you're affecting my calm. And the idea of it just sucks, man. Because they were sort of scooting along with, like, little updates to their MMOs, and I was always wondering what they might be doing, and it's just one more company with layoffs. I'm afraid to look at Reddit half the time. Well, for other reasons too, but you go to Reddit Games and it's just like every other minute there's another layoff. Every other minute there's another.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, even outside of games, man, it's just it's happening everywhere.
True. That's something we should always point out, right? Yeah, I mean, games is what we love, but it's everywhere.
It kind of desensitized me to it, because it's just happening constantly now, and I'm just expecting it out of every company to hear about at some point that they are laying off
some part of layoff.
Especially the companies that blew the fuck up in COVID and hired a ton of devs. Oh my god, employers were like, we're hiring devs left and right. Any dev they can come across, man. It's crazy the amount of jobs that they had. But so now we're seeing, the opposite. We're seeing the come down of it all.
Yeah, remember when it was like, oh, go for it, John. Feel free.
I apologize. I was just gonna say, from someone who's working in the software field, I see a lot of companies, they went through a pretty harsh year of letting people go, including my own company. And this is not only in the financial sector, which is where I'm at, it's software in general. So I think people look at this great year we've had with amazing games coming out, and they think it's thriving, it's flourishing, but it's actually a difficult time in the software industry.
Yeah, I forgot. I think you and I talked about this 2 Fridays ago. I think it was the one Absy wasn't. So it must have been last week's, I think, because Absy was gone maybe last Friday.
Last week. Yeah,
but
Friday.
you were telling me about your place of business, and then I was talking to Cadiz. He'll be on by the 10th, on the 10th, for people who like Josh more than me. He'll be on for a single podcast. I'm excited to have him on. But we were talking his company's software. That's what I used to work at, and they're having, they're just shrinking, or somebody leaves and they don't rehire. If you guys have ever noticed that sometimes, where a company sort of lets the vested person decide when they want to go, and when they do, they don't rehire, and you're like, so who's doing that? Well, everybody will do a little bit of it. You're like, yeah, okay. So we don't have enough money, to hire that to hire those people full on. Super chat, $10. Dino Thor, after your review and some others of the Legion Go, I'm really on the fence. If price weren't a factor, which handheld would you go with?
Probably the 1X player, right?
No.
If price wasn't a factor?
Not anymore.
I thought that was your favorite.
So I played with the Legion since you and I talked on Wednesday, and I would say, I'm trying to think of the one that doesn't require you to go in and dive into the BIOS and change the fucking VRAM, which the Legion does. It, for whatever reason, in the settings of the BIOS, it's at like 3 gigs. It should be 4. So games perform dramatically better when you turn that to 4. I think they're worried about Windows not having enough, but it's like you can pare down, and this Windows version on Legion Go is premier, man. Nothing's in it, no bloatware. Yeah, probably. I mean, size matters. Sorry, yeah, size matters. So I would go with the Legion Pro, or Legion Go, even though I have issues with it. I think the screen's awesome, performance is right exactly where you would expect. Best fucking gamepads in the world for a mobile, man. So nice to have almost full-length gamepad. And they're not kinky, so they don't hurt your thumbs. So, like...
Is there just, like, an HDMI out on the thing, or do you have to mount it on something?
It's all USB 3. It's all USB 3 out.
USB 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
But this thumb is way up here, over the trackpad, so your thumb never gets cramped like on us.
That's sick.
I struggle with that, man.
Totally comfortable, yeah.
With the Switch, I need to take breaks from that thing, man, like...
One X Player Pro's battery is legit though compared to this. Like this one's definitely it's a little bit better than the Ally, but yeah, man, they fucked up. These portable companies suck. They suck.
I don't have a use case for them at all without good battery life. Like I just don't. I'm waiting until they have like at least 4 hours. Under load, you know what I mean?
Yep, I think that's completely fair. Like the One X Player that can do 4, right at 4,
like,
3.
Like if I'm in an 8-hour flight or something, or a 5-hour flight, dude, like I'm just gonna play an hour. That's
that's portability. That's the way it should be. It shouldn't be this.
And fuck power strips. Don't tell me I gotta get a whole. I don't want that.
You mean a power, like a battery bank?
A battery bank. Yeah, I don't want one. I want good battery life.
Dude. So let me show you this. This is the battery bank I use, 65 watt, and it weighs more than the Legion. It weighs more than the Legion. So it's like, and they need to be high output, or the Windows machines won't charge. So if you plug it into like the 25, the Legion it'll probably charge the battery. Like it'll reverse, which I've seen in some handhelds. But yeah,
dude, that reminded me of that old Wall Street movie with Michael Douglas, where he's got a portable phone. Yeah, and the thing is portable in name only because he's carrying that. That's the size.
And it's got the cable. It's like Miami Vice in the old days.
And the big antenna.
Where you can quite literally choke somebody out with you're like
these mobile phones.
Yeah. So yeah, Legion's good. I would say for the price, it's awesome. 8.4 inches, I think, is the screen, and it's bright, and software is better. But yeah, man, they suck. All the other stuff sucks. A normal user should never get an alert stating your driver's too old. A user should never, ever, ever, ever have any issues with like just updating stuff. That's why the Switch is so great. You know, those kind of things just are done. If you're going to release any kind of Windows platform and you want to compete, you can't make the user dive into a bunch of settings. It just doesn't. Why are we selling to I call them casual, but a person who might use it for portable? Why are we selling it to those people and then asking them to do a bunch of tech service on their own hardware? It's like, no, fuck you, man. You're a shit company. Yeah. And I do believe they're a shit company. Like, I do not like Lenovo too much anyway, but for this release, despite the hardware and liking some parts, terrible.
Their customer service is great, though, dude. They traded my whole laptop.
That's a plus.
And I have like 2-year premium warranty, and if anything goes wrong, and just... Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, so and that's something that, by the way, One X Player Pro has a bit of could have an issue because it's Indiegogo. You know, it's one of those Chinese companies that's like, we're going to release 15 handhelds, and so your support you never quite know. So that's a plus for Lenovo. It's updating right now, and I didn't want it to, and I said don't because I know that breaks the fucking Legion. God damn it! I'm watching it right now. You're at 8% update. Shit.
It's doing it.
So there you go, right? That's Windows, though, too. When you tell Windows not to update, it's like, copy that, updating. And you're like, no, don't update. Copy that. We got your order. Updating now.
Gotcha.
You're like, dude, is there a language barrier? Like, what? Do I have this on, Spanish or something where some of the words sound the same? Like, why are you doing this? You got to make a shirt that says size matters. I will indeed. What else do we got after this? Let's look at some...
there was... Oh, go for it. Go for it.
Go for it.
Okay, I tried Payday 3 as well. It runs like garbage-ish, weird.
Like garbage-ish. What?
Ish.
Yeah, it's so weird. So I was playing on my laptop,
Okay.
with a friend, and on my laptop it was running at around 100 to 120 FPS,
Mhm.
but with a lot of stutters.
Mhm.
But on his desktop with a 4090, my laptop has a 4070. On his desktop with a 4090, it was like running as low as like 50 FPS, 60 FPS at times. It's just like all over the place, weird. I wonder if like latency has something to do with like a client side fucking frames or something like that. But the game, it's the same thing. I know Silver has no problem with playing with randoms, but I just feel like that type of game just needs 4 people just together, friends. Like it's just one of those
Like
games,
GTFO a little bit.
like GTFO a little bit, yeah,
Yeah.
because there's so much coordination and but like the UI in that game is just abysmal, dude. It's just
In
one
Payday
of the
3?
worst. Yeah, the UX
Oh.
is just in general, man, especially, and the UI design for sure. Like it's just fucking bad. It's terrible. It's
It's
really
not
bad.
arc levels, but
Oh, it's so bad. But yeah, I don't know. I had more fun with 2. But I guess that's why Payday 2's numbers went up when Payday 3 came out.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. You can't release a sequel that all it does is push people to the original. That's
Yeah.
when you know that there's problems, is when you put something up and it's like boom and it goes
funny
back.
enough, that's what happened with Dark Tide a little bit
Yeah,
because
yeah.
of the issues it had.
Absolutely. We
A
saw it
lot of
ourselves in the
people-
patron Discord,
yeah.
man. Yeah.
A lot
yeah.
of people were like, "Dude, I'm going
because
to."
Vermintide was
Go ahead.
simply feature complete. You know, Darktide
Yeah.
was not feature complete.
Yeah.
Vermintide had like 3 subclasses per person, so much customizability, crafting systems, all that already, and honestly, their level design is just way better in Vermintide. They're just like way more varied levels.
In
you know?
our patron chat, when Dark Tide came live, there was a Vermintide 2 stream in the same chat.
yeah.
That's how bad it was. It was people. And by the way, I know Streven, I've talked to him multiple times. He loves it. I know a lot of people really.
and it's
if
way
you're-
better now.
If you're a
Yeah,
third person
I liked
jump
it.
in fan, you might like it when it first came
Yeah.
out, but it's been patched up. But it's like if you play Vermintide and you're okay with fantasy versus future, it's not even on the same. It's just missing a bunch. It's like it's missing it feels like almost just random levels and you just running in. It doesn't feel like a game yet.
Honestly, that's
even
the
now.
biggest problem because all the other stuff can and kind of has been fixed. A lot of the stuff that was missing or was patchy, but the stuff with the levels and how it's laid
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
and the randomness of everything, how
samey.
nothing
It's all
feels connected. Yeah, and
Yeah.
samey.
Yeah.
That can't be. That's the game.
That's the
you know?
game, yeah. But
That's the game.
Vermintide, it felt like you were going through like a
Mhm.
campaign, like an adventure, so many
Yeah.
different levels, and I don't know. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
cohesive, isn't it? Because you,
Cohesive,
you
yes,
follow
that's a
the
good word
thread.
for it.
I'll
Yeah.
have to get Victor back on because they've done bad games, good games. I love that guy. I've interviewed him.
Yeah, he's a cool
just
guy. Yeah.
open about like, hey, we screwed up on this. We're trying to do this. This isn't going to work. It'd be cool to have him back on to talk about it. Another person that we used to do a bunch of podcasts with that I just found out changed job is Derek Bradley from Aurora 44. He was the very first 3 podcasts I ever did in my life with a developer for Ashen. They were the ones who were making Ashen, and we did like so many podcasts. It was almost like a developer diary because he was just really cool and open about what went wrong or what they were trying to do versus what went wrong. It's always cool to get the people in there that have a game that didn't necessarily bang it out. I need to have Derek back on because they're some of the coolest devs in the world. ACG, this is Alex. ACG, have you seen the controversy when you turn on your Xbox, the Modern Warfare 3 commercial pops up, and for some countries like Kuwait, you can't buy it. Oh, because like what, banned or censored or just
it's
Modern
probably
Warfare is not for sale.
Arabs violence or whatever. I don't know. I don't even know. I remember Modern Warfare 1 was banned in like Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
yeah.
like full screen. Like, to me, that's not a controversy. It's doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Why would you have you do not need to have a full screen ad. So I don't know what they're doing, but all the companies have messed with it. Did you guys ever do the UFC where they had ads during the replay? You do a replay and suddenly it was like full
I remember
ad in the middle of the replay. And you're like, what the hell is going? Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Dude, they started doing it in Prime too. If you watch a movie in Amazon Prime, you actually get ad rolls. Like,
I know, yeah.
During the movie.
I just don't get it. It's like I'm paying Prime.
Yeah.
It's called Prime for a reason, not subprime. If it was called subprime, you know, barely Prime, pseudo Prime, but
yeah.
What else do we got? So anyway, we got the cryptic layoffs. What I wanted to ask you guys about, and then we'll talk about Dragon's Dogma, is a Bond game. So IO Interactive's doing the Bond game. And I was sitting here thinking about like what Bond was versus what it is now. So it used to be gadgets and suave. And then I think with Roger Craig, it went almost Bourne, the Bourne Identity movies for a little while. It was really brusque and really like violent. And then it sort of petered out into almost like Mission Impossible. Then it's gone back to Bond. Is there a Bond? Like, do you guys even care about Bond? Is it something that you guys resonate with? Because you guys are younger, and I don't know if Bond is a big deal to you.
No, for me, it was. I stopped watching after Pierce Brosnan left, but that was my favorite Bond, was Pierce Brosnan.
Me too.
GoldenEye and Live.
Dude, I think all three of us.
Die Another Day. Die Another Day.
Die Another Day. All of them. I loved Pierce Brosnan. And to me, like what I would want in a game would be the gadgets and stuff. Like gadgets and stuff for sure, dude. Q. Let me go talk to Q. Let him hook me up with all sorts of shit, man. Oh. And that's missions
and that's the thing is like in the originals Bond, you know, he was a badass somewhat. He karate chopped somebody, but it was always about you knew the gadget you got was going to be useful in a Bond. Like he'd be like, this breaks glass, and you'd be like, so you're going to have a spot where he has to use that. You know, they didn't even really try to pretend he found it. They were like, there's a wall made of glass. You need to use this ring to, you know, subsonically break it.
Yeah, the ring. Yeah,
the ring. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about. Where he got the ring in the movie, and I'm like, okay, we know what. Like there was no question. You're like, this is not going to be used against a guy's head.
You could get really creative with it too. Now, because nowadays you could have like a car level where you're driving a car and you have all these gizmos, and you know maybe your car can break a wall, or you can throw some
destructibles or something like that.
Yeah, whatever, right? And you can do that in real time instead of like a scripted action event like in the older games. So that would be awesome. Or imagine like a Hitman style thing where you can navigate the level and attack it however you want. You have all these gizmos, and you could have many different approaches to how you tackle a level. Maybe you can break the floor in one place with the ring, or do different things.
I personally believe, just so you know, I do believe that's at least a quarter of what we're getting is sort of like Hitman. But
probably going to be third person, right?
Yeah, third person, and probably being able to scout out areas and do Bondish Hitman stuff. Yeah, I mean, it just feels like that would be it. But as a person who's got a hairy chest, Brosnan was my fave. Because, like, he looked like... I remember he takes off his shirt, he's got a little bare chest there, he's got some hair, and then you see Craig get out of the water just shaved. Like, I mean, just to the point of where they might have just micro-abraded all of his skin. You know, he looks like the current Euro supermodel, comes out of the water in his trunks. I loved him, but it lost a bit of the mystique, man. It became a little bit like everything else. Instead of teasing it for being Bond, I started to forget to even tease it, because I was like, it's I've already made these jokes about like Jason Bourne or whatever. So yeah, man, it's gonna be cool to see.
Yeah.
I would love to see what Johnny said. I had forgot about that, but we have super powerful consoles now. The amount of stuff you could change, like in the game world, and adjust things due to the all the equipment you get, would be really cool if they went nuts with that, and they really drones are probably going to be in. You know, I don't know what you'll be able to do with them, but sound drones, stun drones, of course, will probably be in there. You know, that's just sort of the way it is. But yeah, it'd be cool to see. Also, I don't know what engine they're using. Probably their own. Or maybe it is Unreal. Does anybody in chat know? Are they using Unreal for that? Because that would be... that actually would make a difference, too, on what one they're using. And then also what voice actor. You know, I don't know who they're going to use for... What if they got Brosnan back? That would be...
Oh, imagine. That would be amazing.
Oh, sorry, I need to be right back.
No worries. Let's see. Nora says... imagine a Bond game with the fast loading of Spider-Man. Well, I mean, true, but what do you need
Going
to
through
fast
portals?
load? What do you need to fast load in a Bond game? Yeah, I like the idea, but it's like if he's throwing portals down, we've got a problem. We've jumped the shark. How do you pronounce that?
Mutasif?
Mutasif. Okay, I was pretty close to right. You folks are right. As someone who's worked in corporate tech environments, it makes sense, the deal with Xbox. I'm not quite sure what he's saying. Maybe he's saying the ads. Brosnan was almost too pretty for the role. Well, I mean, yeah, I could. Well, I would almost.
You know, the thing with Brosnan, for me, it kind of felt like someone who just outplayed everybody with, his intelligence.
Yeah.
Whereas, sorry, I'm blanking on the name of Craig. Yeah. He's awesome. I love him. But it kind of felt like he was tackling everything head on, like a Marine, like here's a problem. I'm going to just hammer into it. Yeah. Whereas Brosnan was like, let me find this obscure way around it where everybody looks like clowns because, he's just kind of outsmarting everybody. So I think that's the energy. That's the energy I like because it's the intelligence. He kind of looks like Roger Federer, if anybody follows tennis.
Yeah.
Roger Federer, for the longest time, he was like one of the greats of tennis. Yeah. But he didn't really look physically like.
He did not. He was not Beckham.
It was all technique and like class. Yeah. I don't know. He had like some type of magic to him.
His little
That's
part on the side. He looked like a school teacher that might do sub work on the side, like or an electrician or the guy who shows up to put your Comcast cable in.
It's almost Federer supernatural. Like he's just got this thing.
That's so true. That's why it's weird when you see like some tennis players and others, like Kornikova was always known to be just gorgeous. It was like supermodel level, like prettiness, and that sort of became the thing. Even though she did actually do well sometimes, but it was like you forgot that. With Roger Craig, I forgot he was intelligent because he just went and beat the living tar out of everybody. He was awesome, by the way, for that kind of movie. Like I certainly have no issues with them. I just don't like him as much. I also liked Roger Moore, but that's way before your guys' time. That's like like For Her Eyes Only.
I did watch one of his movies.
Pretty cheese.
Yeah, it's so old that it's kind of hard to get into it for me.
Yeah, pretty cheese, right? They're back in the day of the white slacks kind of thing. Yeah. The white slacks and the shirt and the undone button down to like the, mid nip, and you're just like, dude, Bond, man, button up. Let's get on this. Daniel Craig, not Roger Craig. Thank you. I agree that Casino Royale was his best.
Yeah, so that was good.
With Roger Federer as James Bond. Yeah, you could actually do it. They did definitely both look sort of like laid back, which I think is awesome. I think also with a Bond game, what I would like to see is if they do the car stuff, it's not just a level. They're gonna have to figure out a way to where you're not just getting in the car as a bonus. If they do the car, which I think they always will, right? If Bond doesn't have a car, would it be Bond? There's always, whether it be Aston Martin.
Gotta be a decked out car, man.
Yeah, it's got to be a decked out. Remember what it was the last one, I think, where the car went invisible, and you were like, "Dude, seriously, we've gone."
I don't want it to be episodic. I know Hitman's episodic and it works there.
It will not
be. Okay, good. Yeah, let it be like an actual.
Full
game.
And DLC.
Dude, what if you could drive around? Like if it was kind of an open city like Hitman, but you can actually drive around in it and go places, and maybe you choose to do one activity or another.
But we are getting into Wolverine,
like an open world game.
We are getting into Wolverine moments where you're like, why would Bond be driving? So I want the same thing, but you got to figure out a way to go. Bond, can you pick up some cheese while you're down at
car
Red Mire?
chases and shit.
Make it make sense somehow. Like for example, it could be that not open world. By the way, I'm thinking more like open areas. Where you could drive around a little bit. But maybe you have to contact different people and form a network to do the big mission. And then the prep for that is you have to, go around and explore and contact different people, maybe do some stuff for them.
If there's a car, man, I'm fine with it being open world, honestly. It could even be like a open world as just the backdrop to drive in to go places, and then some locations. Things can happen on the way, where like car chases and shit. I don't know.
Bond in the past, strangely enough, he's a terrible spy, right? So the first thing he does is tell everybody who he is, and you're like, "Come on, dude, what are you doing?"
Enters the hotel.
He didn't also, they had sort of a rule against torture where it didn't, like Bond wasn't, and that's why Daniel Craig's was a little off, because, not off, but he did some things. You could, let's say, drive around and have to get informants and stuff and try to figure, there could be, maybe not torture or coercion, but maybe you have some discussion stuff. Yeah, I don't know what it'll be. We sort of need to identify what they're doing first. But it's going to be hard for them to break out from Hitman. Because Hitman is Bond, but he kills people.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff.
Does Bond not kill people?
For the most part, not all. He does in Daniel's movies, but in the past ones, especially, what they would do is they would show him hitting people, but they wouldn't show blood. They tried to hit that PG. Gotcha. Like, let's get the young, the parents and the kid could watch it. I guess kids, gadgets, parents, gunfights. And hotties. There was always at least 3 hotties per movie, right? That all
I would definitely want them to still retain like the kind of immersive sim aspects of Hitman, like multiple ways of kind of doing a job. You know what I mean? You're a spy. You dictate how you want to take on this mission.
Yeah. I'm excited for it. I like that developer. I actually like them. I just think overall, I know that people weren't as in love.
It better not be always online though.
And the last one wasn't it? No. Hitman had that always online shit, didn't it? Yeah. We're not saying they didn't kill people. What we're saying is that when they did, they would flash away from it for the most part.
And the
purpose.
Presentation of it was super clean. It was like
super
pew,
clean.
Pew, pew.
I just watched For Her Eyes Only, like about 2 years ago, and I was even surprised that like they would show a guy get shot in the chest, and they would show fluff from a vest. They wouldn't show blood, so it'd be like the feather, down inside of his vest.
You could eat a sandwich off the presentation. That's how clean it was.
That's how clean those were. Except again, Bond got all this. I mean, that dude was smooth. He got every chick. Like that was the thing about Bond. I wonder. It'll be interesting to see how they do. The femme fatale kind of thing. Even though technically they weren't. I think only 2 of them were could really hold up to him. Hush Al Ghul, $5 super chat. If we talk in Wolverine, how much of the playing time will it be his girlfriend with a taser?
Oh God, don't.
Oh, I was like, what?
Oh no.
I mean,
yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Well, it beats the girlfriend without the taser. That's
Yeah.
Yeah. Shit with chocolate syrup on it is better than shit.
Yeah, true. Right. One.
Yeah,
you choke down a little bit better.
It's a little bit easier to wash down.
Just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. And I think with Wolverine, all these games, I would like for them to, make sure the core gameplay, like Abzi said, if you're going to do the side stuff, make sure it's good before you put in a random mission that has no character or that isn't the main character named in the game, and fix all that stuff. And then that way, if you do get that side stuff, maybe it doesn't feel as lurchy, like riding a bike in Spider-Man. I still am blown away how quickly that game gets pacey. Mary Jane was the Ultimate Warrior in Spider-Man 2. Yeah, she was something. What else do we got for Bond? Anything? Let's not get sidetracked here. Anything?
I think that's about it. Without hearing more about what they're doing, we can only speculate. But I think the idea is awesome.
Yeah, me too.
That there's a lot of potential.
Have a good bad guy. And then in the chat, we were actually talking about this morning. We were talking about inventory games, and we were laughing because I was making up, what if there's a game where it's just inventory? And then somebody told me that exists.
For sure.
So I don't know if it's like called Backpack Simulator or something, where you're literally. So my idea was, that there's an event coming up, and you adjust your inventory, and then your inventory is like eaten up as this sort of tracker goes off, and then at the end of each event you sort of get rated, you get more money for your inventory, you can get it bigger and stuff like that. And I thought, man, this is all, these are good ideas. And then somebody posted a Steam game. I should have known, right? There's always going to be a Steam game.
Yeah, there's a loading simulator.
What?
Like there's a loading simulator.
It just loads.
Just loads. Yeah.
Well, I think it was one of you guys, who told me the first time. I didn't know it existed. Was the auto game that play themselves, like
The
auto clickers.
chess? Oh, those are
Yeah,
dope.
auto chess and those clicker game. And I was just
The clicker,
right.
yeah, the clicker games.
Yeah,
My-
dude, there's
my
a
brain.
game that
Go for
was pretty funny, and it's just a minimap thing, a minimap simulator, but it was kind of like, yo, this is how you guys play AAA open world games these days. It's just you stare at the minimap and then you just look at the arrow and then you go and
Follow
hit
it.
the points. Yeah, you just go hit point, and I was like, yeah, that's games.
Did you guys ever play the? It looked like pencil and paper, and it was an MMO for years. Started, I believe, on Itch, but you could make your character Loathing.
West of Loathing? No.
Is it? I think it is
West of Loathing.
West of Loathing. Yeah, West of Loathing. That game had a lot
Yeah.
of auto stuff to it, where it was just sort of done for you. A lot of those,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the Itch games, especially when they were just starting out, seemed that way.
Hey guys,
Glenn.
real quick. Sorry, I'm gonna have to excuse myself for a few minutes. I have an internet person
No
here,
worries.
and I'll be back as soon as possible.
Jay Glenn, $5 super chat. Your podcast gives me the best FOMO for classic games. Picked up Alan Wake and Control thanks to you. Beat Alan Wake last weekend. Amazing game. Well, now we got to hear what you think of Control. Do you think Control's better than Alan Wake, or do you think Alan Wake's better than Control?
Ooh. Oh my god, you're making me do this, huh? Fuck. I feel like Control wouldn't have been this good without Alan Wake. Alan Wake is just like the first one. It's okay. Control is awesome. The gameplay is way better in Control. Gameplay is
we can
way
get that
better.
out of the way. Right.
Yeah. And presentation, like, you know, obviously because it's 2019 versus 2010, but and I love the aesthetic of Control. I love the board, like all this like corporate terms, like, you know, the board is like the entity, and they call themselves the board. They talk in like, you know, you can decipher the language in different ways, and there's director and all that. So I love this like corporate world of Supernatural. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But with Alan Wake, it was just the writing, like the layers of you know, or you're kind of in like a meta loop, kind
Mhm.
of, and it just like it fires in your brain. You're like, who wrote what and what wrote who, and who is this? Like, he wrote, you know, this guy, but this guy also wrote him, and he wrote this guy. You know what I mean? And I love that kind of crazy fucking just like the idea of a writer, a novelist being the action hero or whatever is just really cool. You know what I mean? And Alan Wake's story, yeah, I don't think like not a lot of things top that. Talk about the first one for sure.
Better point-to-point gameplay, but and I loved the story, but it didn't grab me near as much as either Alan Wake. Like,
yeah,
I love that kind
Control.
of stuff. And I love Control. Yeah.
I love Control and the lore and but like I loved it more because of Alan Wake, because I got to learn more of the world and more of like the FBC and all that stuff. I love Jesse Faden as a character and Ati, like some of my favorite characters. But yeah.
I think also, maybe that's what bothered me a tiny bit with Alan Wake too. I wouldn't even go as far as bother. I would say I noticed is that just because Control, even with its issues technically when it first released, its gameplay is really good, and you have a character who, at least at first, is like a lady who runs the office. You know, you're just like, okay, but she's still able to move. Even just movement is quicker and more slick than Alan, who
it was like a straight up action. She was a superhero.
Yeah. And her movement during walking times was like, felt more like a person than Alan Wake's, and I think that took me a while to get accustomed to. Probably because I played Control not a ton, not a great deal of time ago, but a short enough time that I can remember some of it, and it felt a little smoother. I know that I was just talking to somebody who had played Control, then jumped into Alan Wake 2, and was like, whoa, the control feels really off. And I'm like, oh, you know, that could be a problem for people who, like, let's say, jump into the series and they play Quantum Break, which is also a superhero, really. I mean, Quantum Break, that character's pretty much a superhero. Time Guy, And so you have Time Guy and then Faden, who's like, what is like
just every fun
telekinesis
power in any
character.
game.
Yeah,
in one character. Yeah.
yeah. I could see people coming off of that and going, "Whoa, this these for example,
it's wildly different." Yeah,
it's wildly yeah. One is definitely narrative with gameplay, and the other is gameplay with awesome narrative and control. And Quantum Break, even though I didn't like it as much, its control still felt closer to augmented human or human than Alan Wake's. Alan Wake's felt very Resident Evil.
With like cover shooters and stuff, right? Quantum Break was like in that zone.
Yeah, and Quantum Break had a lot of that stuff where you're just bouncing around all the time, and so it felt slicker than it was, even though it had some issues. It felt slicker than it really was too. When you go back and play it, you might be like, this isn't. Yeah, I think Control was pretty slick still, and it just Control feels good. Hush Al Ghul, $2 super chat. I have 50 hours in Power Wash Simulator. I mean, I don't think you'd power wash a bunch of cars for 50 hours for free. But Power Wash Simulator seems to be quite popular. Like, people just play the shit out of it. Isn't there a VR version? I think there's a VR edition coming out for Power Wash Simulator.
Power Wash? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, somebody posted something about VR this morning.
While they sit in their dirty homes.
Yeah, right?
Mom, I gotta wash this car, but not my real life
simulator
car,
where they're showering and shit, but in real life they're like, showers are
stanky.
Stupid people. Yeah. Jay Glynn 888 $5 super chat. Alan Wake's janky controls added to the terror. Can't run for more than 10 yards without getting winded. Can't jump more than 1 inch. Real human simulator. Yeah,
I'm glad they got away with that though. They there's no more stamina in the second one, but you don't really run. You jog.
They don't.
Right?
They don't. I think they looked at that and were like, this just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, especially so because of the way 2 is played, he would have to write stamina in to the novel to play the other character. So you're you know what I mean? Wouldn't that be weird if he's like, Saga continually get winded. You'd be like, what? So to me, it actually fits to remove it. Liam, SEK 100. Hey guys, I'd love to play Alan Wake 2, but I'm not sure that my RTX 2070 Super would be able to handle it. Do you think GeForce Now would be a good option? Yeah, everybody I've talked to says there's one issue with Alan Wake where some people don't get a cursor. And of course, if you don't get a cursor, well then the game is almost unplayable. But you could always do a subscription and check. One of our people in the Discord's playing it fine, and then another person has been complaining since the day it came out on GeForce and can't get the cursor working, which would be impossible to play. I mean, or not impossible, but it'd be almost impossible to play that game without a cursor because it's soft cursors.
For sure. At the same time, I don't know how an RTX 2070 Super would handle it, but low on that game is still fucking really good. Like low settings.
I don't care what anybody says. Just turn the RTX off. I think the game looks awesome without RTX. If you have a low-level card, turn RTX off. You're going to get 40 extra frames.
Yeah, because their backlighting is really, really good.
Their backlighting,
regardless.
If you're pixel peeping and your desire is that the reflection doesn't go away if I look up and down really quick, it's like, well, then do RTX. But I don't have an issue
with screen space at all. Yeah,
dude, and I got to tell you, some games with RTX don't look as good to me.
At this point, for me, I don't like RTX, but I like path tracing a lot from the 2 games that I've seen them in.
That's Cyberpunk in this.
Yeah, but normal RT, other than Metro, I don't really care for. Control had pretty good implementation of it, but it didn't really make that big of a difference.
It definitely got better because when it first came out, it had one of those problems where the shadows are being sampled at a really low rate, and so you'd see the shadow point draw in. You could almost legitimately see the rays being calculated, and it was messy, and I just turned it off. I was like, well, screw that, I'll just use the baked in shadows, and they looked fine. As long as you give the gamer a ton of different options, especially with those, I think in all honesty, turning it off, starting out low, lower your expectations to the absolute minimum, and you'll be much happier. Go ahead.
No, like this guy's saying, with a 2060 with RTX turned off, the game runs fine. So, so if that's the case, man, for sure, give it a shot.
Doc Borowski says, personally speaking, I think I like good HDR over ray tracing.
And good HDR is also pretty rare. So
that's what I was actually in my brain. I was like, there's only a couple, and then also they're connected a lot of times. But good HDR is good HDR. is different. I mean, it happens, but man, a lot of times you get that just, I don't know. HDR is just a bomb. I don't care what anybody says. I love HDR. I sold TVs, but I got to tell you, man, it's every time I talk to somebody about HDR, it's never that they like it. It's that they're having a problem.
Yeah.
It's every time. You go into the patron Discord and it's like somebody mentioned HDR and 50 posts. People aren't being dicks. They're like, dude, the implementation on Windows sucks. Or, I have
or
auto
this game
HDR.
or that game. The issue is that like every game has so many settings for HDR, and then you got all the settings for HDR in your own system, and then you got all the settings for HDR in your TV or your monitor or whatever. And then at the same time, you got bad implementations of it and good implementations, and you're just gonna spend so much time trying to figure out if it's just a bad implementation or if you have your settings wrong or if it looks good or not. You won't even like. I still can't. I can't know. I never know, man. I can never know if it's just, hey, is this what it's supposed to be like,
right,
or is this not, or you know what I mean? I just don't bother with it ever anymore.
Another thing I think Alan Wake does really well is I just love that they throw you into darkness at times in that game, where I was rubbing up against walls and bashing into things because I was like, it would go from light to dark, and and their version of dark is pitch black.
It's dark and it's black.
It's like what all games when they do darkness instead of the blue tinge where you're looking through a blue filter and you're like, dude, this isn't nighttime. Have you ever been out in the forest at night? It's legitimately terrifying. And Alan Wake was like, dude, it's dark. And I remember I would go into a room without the flashlight on and be like, what?
Dude, I'd bump into guitars and shit, and they'd make a noise and scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Or like you'd bump it. There's like a water cool. They have so many different sound effects for like items that you could bump into and make and scare yourself with.
It's exciting to see somebody sort of embrace it. I'm hoping Dragon's Dogma 2 does, because number one, I mean, it's about dark. I mean, the zombies come out, the world becomes dangerous. So I'm excited to see if Dragon's Dogma 2 does it. Speaking of that, let's jump, even though Johnny's not here, let's talk about Dragon's Dogma 2. So I wanted to read this. So this is for Dragon's Dogma 2, and I read this morning, wanted to talk about it. Did they remove this from the list of news? Give me 1 second. Make sure it's here. It is... Dragon's Dogma 2 doesn't have scripted events. Okay, so listen to this. This is from Games Radar.
Yeah.
So he's talking about Dragon's Dogma 2 sets up all the encounters in that sort of random encounter generator, like what's going on, how things work. But the developer was saying that they dove into a nearby village hoping to lose a troll in a battle in the chaos of the panicking villagers. But the villagers didn't panic. Instead, just like the playable hero, they clambered up on the creature's sides and eventually overwhelmed it purely with numbers, determination, and weight.
That fucking
that made me go like, wait, what?
That is the type of stuff.
That's the kind of stuff that's organic, right?
And it goes to like I know they've been saying that this game is the stuff they wanted to do in one but couldn't because of the technology at the time, and it's all about the emergent gameplay in that game, man. And fuck, that just sounds really, really sick. I think my favorite thing about these types of open worlds is stuff like that happening, and stuff that happens only to you and you can tell people about it. And I'm not talking about like, oh, the dialogue choices you got or like the scene you got because of your choice. No, I'm talking about like in gameplay, you're walking around, something happens, you do this which causes this to happen, which dominoes into that, and then that stuff really interests me. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah, I was just he says there's something else. Craig climbed up. There are no invisible triggers or flags that cause certain events to occur. Everything that happened that day happens dynamically because of our game's rule systems and how they interact. Oh, Johnny had to go, it looks like. Let me shrink up Dragon's Dogma here. And it says...
I definitely knew he was going to unhook his router or something.
Well, yeah, because he said he was doing internet stuff. I'm like, can't do that if you're on the internet. But so it's all basically, from what I understand, if you're not doing the missions and there's a scripted bad guy because it's the mission set, the open world stuff, is just all completely dynamic. But what I like is that people can be involved. Because how many times have you seen it where, let's say, and this happened in one, you get in a battle and you're like, well, everybody's got swords in this village. Why is nobody helping me? It's just me and the pawn fighting this guy. But you've got a sword. So it's like, and I get it, they want you to be the hero, but it sounds like here they've worked around that, maybe figured that out. So that That would be awesome.
That's really cool.
Dude, everything about Dragon's Dogma so far seems pretty good, except for the trailer felt very 1.5-ish, I guess. That was the only thing I was a little nervous about. I saw the trailer, and we talked about this, but Black Desert, shows, or what is it? Crimson Desert? What's the one that's doing everything?
Yeah, Crimson Desert, the everything game.
Yeah, you see that, and you're like, if that nails it, then that'll be like Dragon's Dogma real, too. To me, because of what it looks like it was trying to do. But, I could be wrong.
As long as the systems are just amazing, like you're saying, that's all I care about at this point. Yeah,
I think it's cool. It's just that I personally believe Dragon's Dogma was all about gameplay and not graphics. And I guess I was hoping that the graphics would be shored up because we're 10 years.
Because we're in 2023, 2024.
Yeah. And when I saw it, I was like, this looks a little up-resed, a little... Remember? And everybody in Dragon's Dogma, there's a lot of inbreeding going on in that world. There's a lot of rough-ass people, man. Even all your romantic, or pseudo-romantic chances in that game, you're looking at them going, man, you got to be really hard up for some of this stuff. There were some... All the characters' faces were really rough, so I'd like to see them get improved. And I didn't see much of that in the trailer. We'll have to see.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do with Dragon's Dogma? Were you a Mystic Knight? Did you choose or Arch or Dual Blade?
I went with a Thief. I forgot which kind. Thief
any
and
magic at all? Oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
sorry.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But then when one of my playthroughs, I did full on mage guy, full on magic. I forgot the names. And just the spells and the like summoning a tornado and seeing everything fly around and summoning a lightning storm and shit. That stuff was so cool. I've never seen any game have spells as cool as that one, for sure.
Yeah, they handled their magic weirdly awesome because it takes a while. And all the spells, like with your staff to get the metal.
You got to cast.
Yeah, things have this roughness to them, but I still remember watching that trailer for the first time, and he leapt off a cliff and used Featherfall, which, lets you basically, levitate, slow down. And I don't think in any game ever in history of ever, in D&D, you hear people use that spell all the time, but in video games, it's like, why would it be used other than Baldur's Gate? Which
World of Warcraft's the only one I
okay, World of Warcraft, there you go. So, and to see him use it, I remember watching the demo, and he used Featherfall, and I was like, what the fuck, that's amazing. That's such a unique thing. They didn't show the fireball, they showed Featherfall, and then all the spells turned out to be awesome. They did such a great job. But yeah, I'm hoping it gets shored up because I think graphically there is no reason to do poor graphics anymore. And so I think a lot of people might look at it and be like, why does it, even if all the gameplay hits, you're going to look at a Capcom who just announced they're doing better than ever. And you're like, well, if you are, maybe maybe rub some
Resident
dirt on
Evil
this
looks really good. Like RE4 remake was a looker and a half.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of Capcom's, okay, do you think the Monster Hunters look like technically good? Monster Hunter World versus
Monster Hunter World looked pretty good. Monster Hunter Rise did not. It was
less
pretty
good.
arcadey.
Yeah,
very, very less good. Yeah. Monster Hunter World looked really good, I thought. Especially at the time, it was fantastic looking. Resident Evil. What other games did Capcom make? Street Fighter.
Yeah, Capcom did. We just talked about this in the Discord, and I can't remember. So Monster Hunter World's a big one of the big ones. Resident Evil, Dragon's Dogma, ignoring that. There was another big one that they did. Shoot, I can't remember. Well, Street Fighter, I think, looks good for... It looks better than I thought it was gonna. I sort of like the graphics. I think they did a good job with how it sort of nails the cartoony stuff. But
yeah, for sure.
Somebody was saying in here that, that Rise was for the Switch, though, but it wasn't. It was for the Switch, and then it was pushed over to the consoles. Ported. That's their job. Like, I'm not just going to say because something was ported, it's allowed to look shit on a more powerful... It's like, you guys got to do it. If you want my $60 now, best step up. Devil May Cry. Duh.
Oh, yeah.
Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry 5 looks amazing.
Yeah, Devil May Cry 5 has some wicked... everything from the spell effects to the animations. That
and
game
definitely their games are all so optimized, by the way. Their games are just...
Oh, you mean on
fucking...
just everything? Or did you have an experience
everything,
with that
especially
one?
on PC, but even on PS5, you can play You can play Devil May Cry 5 at like 120 FPS and it still looks really, really good.
Yeah, it's always good to
and
be able to do
Resident
that.
Evil, they all perform very well, very good, well, and look very good.
Devil May Cry now has got to be what, four
I need another one,
5
man.
years old now. Devil May Cry.
Yeah,
5
Devil May
years?
Cry 5. Yeah, it came out like 2019 or 2018. I remember I was still streaming at the time.
Oh my God,
what a
were
good-
you? Were you still streaming
yeah.
when that came out?
I was
Oh
streaming
shit!
at the time. Yeah, yeah.
Dude,
I played it on
that
stream.
was a while
I
ago.
played all. I remember before that I played through 1 and 3 and 4, and then I played 5.
Gotcha. And in the chat in the last couple days, we've been doing. You and I talked about this on Wednesday. All these random questions and stuff, and trying to figure out what everybody's like favorite weapon and favorite enemy is. One of the things we also talked about is a game that you didn't like at first, but then ended up loving. Is there a game that like? Is there a game that you?
Tons.
Like, what's one that sticks out for a game where you're like, dude, maybe let's say the first 40, I don't want to go longer than that because pretty soon you're like, why did
I
you
have
keep
two
playing
that
it?
stick out.
What are those?
Guardians of the Galaxy, because I'm not big into Marvel and stuff, and I was like, whatever.
Mhm.
And the biggest one for me would be Pillars of Eternity. I don't know if it's so much that I didn't like it, but I found it really boring or whatever. Like, I had to actually restart it 5 times, but on that 5th time when I played through all of it, it became my favorite CRPG of all time. Because I
That's
got over
interesting.
that first like 3-4 hour bump, and then it just starts getting really, really good. Yeah.
Was that 2 or was that 1?
One.
One.
Two,
I like.
I like 2, but 2 did cool things. I like that they used. It was focused on the god that I liked from the first one, the god that I chose as my guy. And I really, really liked the intro. I loved what's her name as the narrator. I think she did a really, really good job, like kind of putting in the. But it didn't have that one feel. 2 felt more like there's a lot of fetch quests, and you're in like Pirates of the like kind of Caribbean islands, and it's sunny, and you know what I mean. So it's I'm sure I'll return to it, and maybe if I play all of it, I'll like it more. But I
I would agree. Pillars, I just like 1 better. I also think you just hit on something that, dude, locations matter. And there's something about the happy-go-lucky pantaloons of pirates and Caribbean that just does not appeal nearly as much as, let's say, when I played Icewind Dale, and it's like a cold, it's a harsh environment. It's like barbarians, wrapped in wolf and wolf hides and stuff, and there's just a feeling to it that did not exist in Pillars 2.
Yeah.
And Pillars 2's it just didn't feel as I couldn't even tell you what the main threat in that game.
You know how there's like a fun factor in games? There's also, for me, there's like a coolness factor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this cool vibe, like cool things they do, and 1 had that. 2 didn't have as much of a cool vibe, I thought.
Yeah. And then the other one that I'm gonna forget again, and I don't know why, because I remembered it for years, but the villain one. Where you're the villain. Where you're the
Tyranny. Tyranny is awesome. Tyranny is cool times 1,000. That one
Tyranny,
is like,
its entire coolness factor is above the other 2, but maybe the gameplay isn't. But it's like some of the stuff you do, I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah, gameplay is much simpler, and it's a smaller game, but the choices are very deliberate and steer you in a lot of different directions. There's choices you do before you even start the game that determine a lot of shit, which gives you more choices in the game. It's a lot. It's definitely meant to be replayed and stuff like that, for sure.
Yeah. I think Yakuza is probably up there, at least for some people, in the coolness factor, whether it be because it's the city or Asian stuff, some people, because it's a different land.
Yeah, the coolness factor from Yakuza comes when like they introduce like a new character, and it goes like dum dum, and it goes like blah 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 from the Daijo family, and that
you like
that
the
shit
text.
adds to it a lot.
You like the
I love the
you
text
mentioned
stuff,
it in
man.
every
I
game.
love like intros and Control, dude. Boom.
Yeah.
I love that, dude. It's so cool. That's why I really like Bullet Train.
Oh yeah, Bullet Train did it, didn't it?
Because they did cool things with text.
You're right. Bullet Train did it. I was like, what does he mean? Yeah. And also, this is going to sound really weird, but there's a couple games where they do that, and then they have a burn-in sound. So they'll do the font, and it'll go like, boom. And Fringe a lot of times would do a font on the side of a building, a 3D. And this is an accident. They were saying that they had no plans to do it, but one of their techs knew how to do 3D animation, and they didn't put a mask in right. So instead of it standing off, it was on the side of a building. And that's become Fringe's claim to fame, is like,
nice.
When you see it on a item, you're like, whoa, that is so weird looking. And text when it pops, and it's like chapter 1 or what, and it sort of fades in, or the name of something, and you're questioning, you're like, what's that name mean? When it's like the hidden one, you're all, what? And by the way, I'm making that up. The hidden one isn't the name of one. I just want to make sure somebody doesn't think I'm spoiling something.
Yeah.
You're back, Johnny. You got it fixed?
Yo, I think so. Well, the guy's looking at cables outside. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I think with Yakuza, we were just talking about why some people like certain games and certain worlds and what their cool factor is. But it is also interesting to me that we look at ninja and samurai a lot of times in Western society, and we're like, oh, wow, cool. And yet in the Yakuza games, what I've noticed is they look at the Yakuza that way. So all the normal guys, when, you find out somebody's Yakuza or something, like, oh, my God, and it dawned on me because I'm doing one for review, and I was like, oh, I get that. I understand where they're coming from. Go ahead.
Yeah, and what stressed that even further is when you're playing like Judgment or one of these side games where you're not Yakuza.
Yep.
And then a Yakuza guy comes in and you're like, damn, like I was that guy or something. Like,
and you're the normal guy in Judgment, so nobody's. And by the way, they treat police still with respect, but it's nowhere near the same. So in Lost Judgment, the kids are dicking with you, so you beat them up, and that because that's so because people are like, yeah, you're a police officer, you don't even have a gun, whatever. But then Yakuza show up and they're like, oh my God, there's badasses here. I like the dichotomy there. It's pretty cool. What we were talking about, Johnny, was we started out with Dragon's Dogma 2. Did you play Dragon's Dogma 1, Johnny? He froze.
Yeah, he's
dude, but it's the best freeze screen ever. By the way. Even if he comes back, I'm going to leave it that. So let me just say stuff to Johnny and pretend he's agreeing. Johnny, Lords of the Fallen isn't good. He agrees.
Yo, Liza P is a shit game.
Such abuse. Poor Johnny. Johnny's trying to get his internet up and running, guys. So, but all these games, Dragon's Dogma has a cool world because of light, dark control, Alan Wake, Pillars. What other games have grabbed or not grabbed me at first? No, I wanted to go back to that question real quick. A game that didn't grab me at first, and then I ended up loving it.
Yeah.
Man, that is hard.
I have examples of the opposite as well.
What, a game that started in chat? Feel free to do the same. You're saying a game that started out cool and then it just cratered,
and then it just started. I started seeing the cracks and stuff.
What was that?
Remember Valhalla when you weren't too hot on it, like with your review?
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? This game is fucking awesome. And then the more I played, I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, dude. I see it now.
Yeah, no, I get it. You were nice about it, but I could tell that you were like, what? It's pretty fun. And get back to me in a couple. As a reviewer, it's one thing to I'll see people do that too. 2 minutes after a review post, I've played it and they haven't. And you're like, you're totally wrong. And I'm like, Or the game will be out for an hour. People will be like, it's amazing. And I'll be like, come back to me, in 60 hours.
That happened with Cyberpunk as well for me. I was like, oh my God, I'm playing Cyberpunk. It's amazing.
Yeah, and then it just sort of peters out.
Shit.
I'm trying to think of a good... That was funny with Valhalla, though, because that was also the time when I was talking to you about it. And then Takedown, I DM'd him, and I'm like, are you playing it? He's, Takedown... He'll play all of them, all the Assassin's Creed. He was. I told you this already.
Only if it's out for a couple of years, though. He'll wait. He won't play on day one.
True, he might not. But he was He was mindfielding Valhalla, and he's like, "I'm gonna 100% it. I'm just going like this."
I remember that.
And I told him distinctly, "I'm like, you are lying. There is absolutely no way you're going to 100% Valhalla in the way you're
29.
Dude, no way." And I remember it was like 2 or 3 days later, and you can tell because his comments get less and less. In the Discord, you'll be like, that's petering off. And what do you keep playing? And then it's another game, and you're like, But it's funny. I think he beat Mirage day one all the way through, and I think that speaks to Mirage's. It's just tight, like in out. And if you don't beat it, you're not gonna. You already know where the characters. There's something about that game where you can be like, okay, I didn't beat it, but I know where he's going. I know what this character.
Yeah. Like I played it, had fun, and I didn't need to continue. Like,
because you didn't beat it, right? You played 10 or 15.
I'm pretty sure I was like close to the end of it, but it was just Yeah, I didn't care. I was like, yeah, I had fun, and I'm done now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Played for 15 hours. Worth it.
Sorry, internet dead for now. No worries, Johnny. It's fine.
You're good.
It was more funny than anything when you were still up there. Will we ever see a clean shaven ACG? Yeah, go. Oh, I deleted a bunch of my old videos, or I unlisted them. You might see an ancient podcast, but I think I've removed almost all of them. Boy, does that help the channel too. Should have been doing that for a long time.
True.
Yeah, I just didn't even. I mean, I saw people mention it. I was like, why would I do that? And then I started doing it. It was such a big deal. Rigged for Epic in our chat, in Discord chat, says, just wrapped Spider-Man 2. Awesome game, but does anyone feel? Okay, I should have read this first. Does anyone, of course somebody does, feel like it's a little leaner than the first? Feels like less villains. Yes.
Yeah, the first one had like every villain pop out.
Yeah.
Halfway through, right? Yeah,
right.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's a completely I mean, you're not the only one. You're never the only one on the internet. But like to me, that makes perfect. I liked 1 more than 2, I think. But
yeah, me too.
1.
Oh, wait, I think because 2 had it had its moments and a half. Like there were some moments in that.
It might be patchier
awesome.
than 1, maybe.
Yeah, it's patchier than because 1. Like I liked it all the way through, minus MJ stuff. Like the like, main story wise. But 2 was just like boring, fun, boring, fun. You know what I mean? So
yeah, 2
but
was
like towards the end, it was all fun for sure. Of 2, yeah, except for that one MJ moment. But it was like.
Would you also agree? So this came up a bunch of times, and I don't agree, but I hear it all the time. So it's obvious that it impacted people. I loved that in Spider-Man 1, when the prisoners escape, the world is more dangerous. You got rocket launcher guys on all the roofs. However, every time I bring that up, a lot of people tell me that they felt that completely stymied the end of 1, and that they felt like they couldn't swing or they like their traversal was sort of patchier after that moment. Did that? I liked it. I actually thought
I liked it.
I had not seen that in a game before.
2 did that too in a way. What? Yeah, no, I didn't mind it at all.
Yeah, I thought it was actually cool. First one had Sinister 6, Hush Al Ghul for $2 super chat. First one also had one of the greatest superhero battles ever, which is the 3-enemy battle with, like, as the AI called him, Dirty Bird, Electro, and one other character.
Yeah, that was cool. I forgot about that. Yeah, and Rhino, right?
No, because you were above. You were in the pipes. You were on the pipes. You were swinging above the pipes in an air battle.
Rhino
so
and
it
Vulture
wasn't.
Tag teamed you.
Yeah, this was Vulture, Electro, and maybe it was Doc Ock in 1. It's been a while since I played 1. Who is the other villain when you're in the 3-person fight in the sky? Because it's all a sky. It might be Doc Ock. I think it is. But you have the 3, and I just remember playing it going, this is a superhero game. Like these guys.
Am I remembering wrong that so in 2 I felt like literally 99% of the bosses, except for 1, which will remain nameless, which is part of a side quest line, were pretty much the same. You dodge or you parry or you dodge, right? And then you get hits in. 1 had stuff, right? Like 1 had like
Scorpion,
different, like Rhino.
Scorpion was the other. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So you think that the bosses didn't require as much thought as they did just not using
even
the
thought,
game?
just like cool or like fun, like they were all kind of the same, except when they set the stage with Sandman in the beginning, dude, set this. I was like, fuck, this is gonna be, you know what I mean? But we didn't get that anymore.
Right.
That was it.
Right. Yeah, it was, dude. You can't tell me Insomniac wasn't like, oh yeah. And at that first scene, and I remember playing that, just being like, "What is going? This is the craziest battle." And then, it doesn't. There's a moment, not a battle, but there is a moment in 2 where I was like, "Are you kidding me? That just happened." Like that's comic book tier level comic book stuff, and I'm not even a comic book fan, and I saw it, and I was like, "Are you shit? That's amazing!"
It's my favorite thing to happen because I wanted it to happen, and it happened.
Did you?
I was like, "No
Did
way."
you want it to happen?
Yeah, because I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it goes pure crazy at the end. You're just like, that just happened. So
it was cool,
but it was patchier. Yeah. It's like awesome beginning battle.
It had its moments.
some pretty good ones, and then that end, which is, and there's, we'll discuss it in a year or so. There's some, not a big fan of the wrap up in 2. I'm not a big fan of some of the ideas that they. Happened. There's just some, you know, and I won't say much more. I think some of the ideas in the wrap up, the where people are, I guess. I'm just like, But you know, it's like I don't like Lord of the Rings, the movies, as much because it's like, here's the end. Only one mage is left. And I love the movies where it's like, everybody's a mage, fuck off.
Yeah, that's why I want something from the second age. I've been saying, like, I want second or first age shit for so long. I want
heroes just fruiticiding. And you can't even figure out. You're like, dude, how'd that guy die?
Same thing with Star Wars, man. I want, like, you know what I mean?
No more Last Jedi. No more.
I don't want last anything. I don't want post-apocalyptic. I want shit to flourish.
Yeah, I want it to flourish. And so danger is to the point to where it's almost utter chaos. Where you're like, how's anybody going to make? It's almost just attrition. It's World War II, you know, assaulting the beach kind of stuff, but for magic users. Like, that's what I want. Yeah. No, I mean, it's cool. It's cool what they did. And Insomniac knows I'm sure where their plans are, but the ending for one I liked a lot. The ending for Miles I thought was good. I'm not a Miles. I don't know how to say it.
It was pretty good. One, my Miles was pretty.
Miles was pretty good. I thought one
special.
Yeah, I thought 1 and Miles were pretty good, and I think 2, just like I said, the idea of where people are and what the plan is. It'll just depend on how they, you know, what we get. We're like, when do you think? How about that? So Wolverine's coming out in, like, let's say 2 years.
I just hope Wolverine's a bit more edgy, man.
Dude, there's gonna have to be decapitations and stuff. Yeah. What if it's?
And I'm not talking about like Black Spider-Man edgy, like not black. I mean, like, you know, Venom Spider-Man edgy. I mean,
like, as in like violence and stuff like that.
Not even violence, but like also like, you know, having balls, you know, just to have some edge, you know, in dialogue and stuff like that.
I mean, that's going to be the question, because Sony owns some of the Spider-Man rights. I don't know if they do with Wolverine. I don't think they do. So they're probably going to have to go a lot tighter. But Wolverine overall is pretty edgy as a comic book. At least, like, I've only read a couple, but Cadiz is like biggest Wolverine fan in the world. And every time I bring it up, he's like, dude, this... He doesn't have an issue with the movies, but he's like, come on. Like, this is, you know, they sort of condensed it for this or this or this. And it seems like if Insomniac's able to do it, that they could go completely nuts to the point to where it's like, that's the new Spider-Man, which I think would be.
I hope so. It's just it's been a while since the Sony exclusive was daring. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that is, I think you could honestly point at that they're great, but that even with 2, we talked about it, I think, prior to the podcast, where Horizon Forbidden West is they're safe. They're safe in a weird way, you know. It's just like
very progressively safe.
Well, yeah, but that too. But it's like it's just like they're safe in that something that you think should probably happen won't happen, because it's just they want it to almost be the happy-go-lucky, and maybe not the happy-go-lucky ending.
Not happy-go-lucky, it's just empowering, you know, like like everyone has a will. I don't know what to call it, man.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. Like, where sometimes when you look at it, it's like, wouldn't it be cool if they just were like, this is, you have to live, like, this is the end. I think sometimes these companies are afraid people won't want to return if the ending of the prior one is a certain way. That's why I think Wolverine's in good shape, because it's just Wolverine. I mean, why buy the Wolverine? Why buy the ability to make a game if you're going to absolutely, you know, just, I mean, King Kong just got made, so maybe I'm talking on my ass here.
Yeah, just strip it out of everything.
Gollum got made, so maybe I should shut up. You know, maybe I think my ideas now are completely ludicrous, but I guess I still have a little hope. Omar, by the way, forever Beaver lover, worst username ever, but he asked the question, now that the review of Alan Wake is out along with the game, can you guys talk about the spoilers on the podcast? I want to know everything. No. That's your answer. Baseball Gear says, what game caused you to become so immersed that time slipped away, and before you knew it, 8 hours were gone? This happened to me when I played RE8 and Inscription. Inscription.
Starfield, easily. That was like
Yeah, Starfield.
one of the games this year that just, it's the type of game that like the gameplay loop just eats hours. Like I would I was in Dubai for a while and I didn't have my laptop with me. It wasn't working at the time, and I really just wanted to play Starfield. I found like a gaming network place, and they had like 4090s and everything on 1080p monitors, by the way. Fucking stupid. But but I would just literally sit, go there, order coffee or whatever, sit, play, and then I go there by like 6 p.m. and I look over and it's like 1 a.m. and I'm like, the fuck, dude, I was surveying planets for like 6 hours, So that one was very grabby to me personally. I know some people find that type of game play boring, but something where you're like collecting resources and kind of building up stuff and just and that looting that Bethesda does, it just really kind of just has its hooks on me. It's addicting.
Yeah, I would say for this year, Starfield's very high on the list, where there would be times, well, post review, where I was just playing it. I just like 4 or 5 hours would be gone. I'd be like, what was I, I mean, and I'm not saying the progress in the game wasn't showing. It was just that I just zoned out and enjoyed what I was doing, and it was like, this is it. So yeah. I've put more hours by far in Starfield than Skyrim when it first came out, but that's because I think Skyrim vanilla, personally to me, is not the greatest game. And
yeah, me too. Yeah,
I know that a lot of people love it, and I certainly do, but it becomes muddied when I think about real Skyrim versus Skyrim with even the smallest number of mods.
You know how many hours I have in vanilla Skyrim? 20.
20?
I have 20. Dude, I
was
played
gonna guess
on
20. Weird.
Xbox 360. I just I did the main quest or whatever. I did a couple side things. But then when I got a PC and modded and stuff, I played like 1,000 hours at least. I have 1,000 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and even their mods or their adjustments improved it. Like because a lot of those games do have bugs, and I got to admit, like it. Despite my love for Skyrim, I did play it more than that. But you'd be playing it, you'd be like, there'd be a bug or I remember the patch where the dragons flew backwards. And I was just, after a while, I was like, I don't want to jump back into this for a while, until they patch it up, which didn't happen with Starfield, which was nice. Hush Al Ghul, $5 super chat. Venom Craven fight. If they do normal and Wolverine, we should be in good hands. If they do that normal. I don't know. Huh? Did you say that's sort of spoilery? It is. He probably did it on purpose because some people are like that. But I don't think that's too spoilery because we already know that both of them are technically in there. But yeah, for anybody in there, apology. I don't necessarily think that's too much of a spoiler, but I would say if they go that edgy, well, it depends. I mean, it depends on exactly what you see in the fight. See, Wolverine has to be brutal all the time and kill, which then means you can't kill civilians because that would be ridiculous. So then it's a bunch of bad guys. How do you make it so that the bad guys respond to Wolverine over time? Are they going to adjust their ability? Are they going to... there's a lot of stuff with Wolverine that comes up that I think can be difficult. It'll be really difficult for the developer.
What does Wolverine have that makes his gameplay feel different than other like melee games?
Yeah, It's
That's the question I have. Like,
and that's a question that I don't even know if they know right now because it seems like that's open. It seems like that's like I don't even know if they know, and they're going to have to mess around with it. We'll probably get some leaks where people are QAing it or whatever. You'll hear some people talk about it. I also wanted to talk about Modern Warfare 3. So Modern Warfare 3's campaign, 3 to 4 hours.
Dude, it's not. It's like, okay, like fuck, man. Okay, I get it if they were trying to be like, let's focus on multiplayer. But to me, I'm sorry. To me, it looks exactly the same as Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 1, dude. It's the same game, dude. You're like running around shooting shit. Like what did they do? And they're using old maps. Like what did they develop? What are we paying for? Aren't they using like all the old maps?
Yeah, I don't want to speak too much about it because I've got it, haven't turned it on yet. But I saw a lot of comparisons on Twitter that was brought up. A lot of the same stuff was brought, like there were people showing comparisons of some other games and a lot of copy paste. The reason why I say I don't want to bring it up is because I want to play it to see. I don't think it's blown out of proportion, but I do want to question why it was ever done then.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really quite understand what they think is the positive of doing that, especially, going to sound really weird, but with Microsoft and Activision finally joining together, this is Activision's last of these without Microsoft. If I was Microsoft, personally, I'd be like, dude, what are you guys doing? Like,
yeah.
I don't
it just
want you
seems to me like
connected to me.
Overwatch to Overwatch 2, but they're charging you 70 for it.
True. And that
Yeah.
was a disaster, right? I mean, is that still
And they
considered
didn't
a
charge
disaster?
you for it. Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah, Overwatch 2 is all free, right? All free to play.
Yeah, but they changed it so that because in the first one you can earn loot boxes by playing the game and just earn skins, but in this one you got to pay for a battle pass and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. This one's also got the open environments or whatever, the open warfare. I don't know exactly how it plays out, and that's another thing I really want to see. This one also has zombies, right? I think this one has zombies. Yeah, see, your general apathy is what I think all of us feel. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm definitely not gonna spend my money on that. Like,
me neither.
Yeah,
it's I got the code, and I'm definitely, if it gets turned on, it's probably going to be more along the lines of just to check what the weirdness is, why it was made, and the question mark.
Why it was made? Yeah.
Why? Yeah. Because especially
DLC, right, glorified.
Right, and why, if you have a big name? I don't get it. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. You should have just called it. Not remake. I don't know. It just seems like a really odd title. And I saw some people saying that they only play it for multiplayer, but I'm hearing the multiplayer is bad too. So, and that was prior. I don't think the multiplayer is out yet for normal folks, but for the people who played it at events and stuff, I've heard it's not very good. So it's like,
I don't know, man. It's just the same shit. I looked at it and I was like, I don't even know if I'm looking at 2 or 3. There was a video of some dude complaining about the trailer or something, and he was like showing it, but he was showing it, but he was also mixing in Modern Warfare 2 and 1 into it.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end of it, he's like, by the way, these are 3 different games. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. Yeah.
I think sometimes that's also the people who play it all the time. And so they may have a complaint that a new person may not have. But it seems to me like everybody's going to complain about 3 hours. Like 3 hour for a campaign. And I get that some people don't buy it.
That's so stupid because they made a whole big deal about like this like kind of open area exploration type shit. And I legitimately, we were talking in the podcast and I was like, what if this like a 12 to 15 hour, campaign?
That's exactly what I thought.
And I was
too.
thinking that. And because I saw the multiplayer portion, I was like, this is the exact same game. Maybe they focused. I was hoping that they focused on a campaign and they were like, they're trying to push something new to the Modern Warfare. But 3 hours, man, come on. That's disappointing.
It is. Cheese's Crust actually talks about one of the games. Overwatch's latest collab with K-pop group La Safim. La Safim. Had me thinking we don't see music artists collab with games too often. What's an artist or band you'd like to see collaboration with, and what game? Oh, interesting. What? So all I remember is Rock Band.
I remember Low Roar for Death Stranding was amazing. Obviously the shit in Alan Wake 2 is amazing.
Alan Wake 2 is the answer, really.
For sure. Like that is the best way to deliver that type of collaboration. I remember, oh my god, Mortal Kombat 8, I think. They had like a ton of different artists. Each artist did like a theme for a different character. It was amazing. Really? I remember Skrillex did the reptile theme. Yeah, and it was really cool. Yeah.
I mean, this is my personal opinion, is I like a lot of bands, I like a lot of music. I do not see a band mixing with a game and mattering at all to me, unless it's like Alan Wake, where it's in the fiction. And when it's in the fiction, it requires a completely different situation. And we saw the problems.
Way more deliberate.
Right, and that caused problems with Alan Wake 1 because of the licensing. They had to remove it from a store for a while. So it's obvious that it's actually a problem or difficult.
Yeah. Plus, like, honestly, these days, man, just even if a game is not that good, the music team, the composers, that side of the stuff is always top tier. The music department in games these days.
See, I've actually noticed that too. I was looking back and going, I think there were 2 games where I was like, this music doesn't fit or isn't for me, or or has bad stingers, which can definitely happen, where they ruin a plot point because the music pops up. But I do believe that it seems to me in the last 4 or 5 years, there's been just enough extra money and stuff tied into game music that now most tracks
like top tier, man. Like you're getting orchestral stuff,
and
like
it doesn't even have to be Austin Wintory. I want to make sure I point. It's not Zur.
No.
It can be anybody, and you'll be listening. The guy from the pirate one, Shadow Gambit. That guy in Desperados. I mean, everything he touches. His music is Felipe is his name. His music is phenomenal, and his name is never mentioned. And you're just like, dude, the guy's music is so good.
Like even I don't know who did Spider-Man 2, because like Craven's theme was fantastic.
Justin Bell and Elijah Chuck probably. They probably because they both, I think, Elijah Chuck, I believe, is third-party contractor, but Justin Bell works for them. And I could be wrong. I would have to look. No, I think I am wrong. Spider-Man 2 was actually. Was it Zur? Was it what's his name? Anon. I can't remember. He has the weird name. Spider-Man 2 composer. Okay, let me look.
Oh yeah, Wasteland 3 had like really, really cool.
It was John Pisano. Pisano is what it looks like. Cool. Composer for the series' first Marvel Spider-Man game, returned to craft score from. Yeah. Just want to verify. Look here real quick. Yeah, John.
I want a Tenacious D game.
Let me look at this guy's resume here real quick. So, for games, this guy has done Mass Effect Andromeda, which admittedly I didn't mind the music in that. Gran Turismo Sport, Detroit Become Human, good music.
Great
so this
music,
guy's awesome. Spider-Man, Miles, and Spider-Man 2. So that guy's legit like an amazing composer. Yeah, sorry that I didn't know who you are. I'm sure you're not listening, but I should have known exactly your name. Your music's awesome. See, that's the thing, dude. It is coming to the point to where you almost have to not spend money to get. I mean, people are learning the art for game music or something. Yeah. Like it feels like they are. And sound
Atomic
effects
Heart
still can have some. Yeah, Atomic Heart. Yep.
Oh, with Mick Gordon and shit, dude. That Atomic Heart.
I'm being firmly honest. I'm not. I know you are, but like with Mick, his stuff's a little grungy, rusty, metal trashy to me. So sometimes it doesn't stick.
I'm not like a huge metal guy.
Yeah, either am I. That's on top of it too. But I got to admit, like when he nails a game, I'm just like, dude, that guy knows.
it's just because like Atomic Heart like had a lot more subtlety. I feel like than
very
Doom.
much so.
It had a lot of technical stuff I love.
Doom was more like this shit's going down.
Yeah,
and so therefore
it's awesome though. It's amazing.
Remember when we were was it was Atomic Heart, I believe, where was it Atomic Heart or was it Doom where he was talking about the quads and the randoms
that was
in his
Atomic Heart.
Atomic Heart, right?
Yeah. That's the stuff, man. That's the stuff.
Yeah, because I remember reading his little article about, and he had some tweets where he was talking about how he made the music, and I was like, the fuck is this guy even talking about? Like, I mean, obviously people who know music would know, but from what I understand, when I saw other composers respond, they were like, oh wow, that's a pretty awesome idea on how to make something seem
I
like
love
it's
MIDI
on.
modulation, like random MIDI modulation shit. I
still think Dying Light 2 is unchampioned there too. Dying Light 2's main theme
has an amazing They combine like I remember they combine like orchestral shit with like darker
with like a bicycle. If you see the instrument, he made it out of bike parts because he wanted it to be post-apocalyptic. He's like, let's make an instrument out of the only things that would be left, and it's like
that's cool.
That's
so cool.
Hush Al Ghul, $2 super chat. How about Final Fantasy 15 Boy Band? Hey, listen, I like that game.
Yeah, I like it.
I like the game. I like the entire thing. Manuel Armet, Dope 250 DOP. What's that? What's that in Denmark? No, DOP. I'll look it up in a second. Thank you very much for the super chat, Manuel.
Dominican peso.
Thank you. Which OSTs are your favorite? I'd say Mario Galaxy 2. That's an awesome soundtrack.
Oh, I have some top ones.
Go.
Nier for sure.
Nier Automata. Nier Automata?
Yeah.
Oh, both?
Automata and Replicant. Yeah, Replicant has some of my, like Grandma. Oh, I love Grandma. And Xenoblade Chronicles 3, dude. I still listen to the Nag Desert Night and the Nag Desert Day and There's a lot, and Xenoblade 1 as well. They have just such good soundtracks, man. I think those are like, fuck no, but then I have oh dude. No, there's a lot. Yeah, no. Okay, I'll just say those two for now. Yeah, what about you?
I mean, that's the problem, because even years ago, there might have been really good music in a game, and so the number of titles is really high.
Yeah.
But Mass Effect 1's main theme was probably...
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, and that was the only time in a game ever where I remember for 3 solid hours, I was doing work in my apartment prior to playing, because I told you I love to... Everything's done when I sit down for a game. Like, I've eaten, peed, gone to in any bathrooms you need to go to, house is cleaned, so that I'm not interrupted. And that music in the main menu was playing. And I remember just being like, Jack Wall is a genius. Like, this is the greatest. But Nier Automata, this cannot continue.
This cannot continue. Yeah.
It was like a moment. I still remember just being like, are you shitting me? This is the greatest fucking thing. And normally in games, I'm more subdued. Like, I love it. But that was... And when they're diegetic, so when they play like from a... So when they play from a device in the game, so like there'll be a boombox and you'll hear music. That's sort of your diegetic stuff. And I also love that.
Yeah, there was a moment in Alan Wake 2 where you're like, you kind of like play a song on a jukebox, and then you walk, and then that I love that shit.
Or
man.
Prey, Prey at number 1 had like "Don't Fear the Reaper" from the Oyster Cult. It also had a couple others, and I remember, because I'm not a huge old timey fan, but that song in particular, I don't know why, but I just like it. And when like aliens are attacking, it's like, you know, it's just "Don't Fear the Reaper," and it's this weird melodic thing while crazy shit's happening. And my mind was blown. Dude, I just love it when they're good.
Even Assassin's Creed Valhalla had amazing music.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla's music is genuinely good.
The main menu music too. Oh, I love that song.
Yep. They did a really good job with like the celestial. I call it celestial, and I'm sure any luckily no musician's been on and been no musician has called me out and been like, dude, could you use the proper term? But I'm like, to me, when I hear that crystalline, like ethereal, like that celestial, it's almost like it's played by an angel or something, and my brain is like, what the fuck, this is so good.
And the choir and shit.
You Mad Dog, $5 super chat. Wasteland 3 several sections composed by Old Americana was incredible. Mad Dog, that also reminds me of Fallout 3's starting music. That
oh my God,
Burn the World or whatever. I don't want to
I don't want to set the world
on fire, dude. And I was telling a story that like my wife was like, turn that off, because she heard it so many times. But I was like, this is, and I don't like old timey, but that shit bang,
dude,
man, it banged.
Dude, music in Fallout 3 is like half the reason I was so entranced by that game.
Me too.
It spoke, dude. It literally, like, Fallout 3 is one of the games that defined me as a person. I think even now, like, from childhood, I used to be a person who would kind of care too much about things, kind of like a shy kid. You know what I mean? I used to be, always worried and shit. But the mere, I don't know what it was. I played Fallout 3 for like 2 months straight. I was in like grade 8, grade 9. And just the idea of like a ton of violence happening and killing like a bunch of,
the dichotomy of the two playing off each other.
And with the like the 50s like happy music just changed me as a person. I swear. I'm not even it's not even a hyperbole. Like I started caring less about things and becoming more outgoing.
It's mean, who knows how it works in psychology, but there's something about that soothing music, and then the fat boy goes off or whatever, and you're listening to your Pit Boy, or whatever, you're listening to a podcast or whatever on the Pit Boy, and you're just like, dude, this is such a it's eclectic. It's not what you, and the dichotomy of the two playing off each other is what some games it doesn't have to be. Mick Gordon probably doesn't have a lot of diametrically opposed things going on, which is fine.
Right.
But when it does happen and you hear that, you're just like, this, it'll be in your brain forever. You'll be like, I will never forget that.
Whenever I look at, like, if there's anything about nuclear bombs, it's just 50s music, nuclear family,
every
like
time,
all that
man.
shit.
Every time. And by the way, when you hit the button and the film goes up to start Fallout 3. And I would just sit there, and I was running mods and they were crashing. So it's like you hear that menu music a billion times. And it was I would always let him finish the first sentence of the song. I would be like, don't want to set the world on fire. And it's just like, it was the stupidest Pavlov dog kind of thing. What's up, Johnny? Sorry. We're talking about
even their
awesome music in games. Go ahead.
Even their music outside of like the 50s radio was fucking awesome. Like the theme, like the
Johnny, so what we were doing was we were talking about like surprising music. We've gone everywhere as normal, but we were talking originally about surprising music, and then we realized there's 1,000 games with good music, but we were saying that it feels like music in games is elevated to where it's very hard to have bad music, that the musicians are getting their technology's better. Wise allows them to hook in, so you don't get a
and
spoiler.
Funding, orchestras,
funding,
and shit.
Yeah. Is there any like amazing? We'll say for the last 2 gens. Is there anything you can go? 2 or 3 games.
I think Ori is one.
Yeah, man.
Where I stopped and immediately was like, oh.
Yeah,
there's something going on here with the melody that stays with you forever, and you can hear that back, and it's almost like the Batman theme song from Batman Begins, where you hear the 2 notes, and you're like,
you just know.
Yeah. Ori's a good one. I had him on the Gareth Coker, right? Yeah, Coker. I had him on the podcast twice, and discussing like how he does stuff versus Eliza Chuck. And then who did originally Dead Rising 4, I think is why I had him on. But now he works, he does a bunch of stuff with Sony for like Forbidden West. And then Justin Bell. It is crazy how they all sound totally different. Yeah. Like Justin Bell's main menu for Outer Worlds is one of the best main menu musics I've ever heard in my life.
It's like Stargate. Yeah.
Dude, when Outer Worlds music, I was like, he may have just beat Mass Effect 1. Like, that is legit. Like starting, and I don't think he could beat Fallout 3. That's probably Fallout 3's icon. Like that's almost, and it's not. I mean,
I have a soft spot for it though. I can't be unbiased. Like I just Fallout 3
for Fallout 3,
something else. It was like an experience.
Yeah, there was something to it. What about Johnny? Any others that like pop? We were talking about Doom, Mick Gordon, Doom 2016.
Yeah, for sure. Persona 5 will forever be,
the jazz,
just striking the jazz, but it's good. It's funky, powerful.
Dude. And what's so weird is I would say 3 of these we've talked about. I don't really like the music, as in that's not my jam normally, and it's crazy that it works that well. It's like the composer figures out a way to go, we're gonna do something you're not expecting. And even though that one I think I would expect, I don't consider jazzy stuff JRPG, if that makes sense. So like some of the stuff that they hit, I'm like,
in a weird way, it's so Western.
It's so, it is. Yes, it's legitimately, that's the thing. It's like, it works. And you weren't here, but one of the things we were talking about is Nier Automata, this cannot continue when the robots come out. And I remember just going like, I don't even know what's happening right now. Like, this is the greatest moment in like where everything comes together.
It's what's that term you use? Diegetic?
Well, diegetic is when like a radio station is playing in a game, and Alan Wake 2 has that. Where
it's like a natural, so something from the environment.
Yeah,
it's like,
but isn't that an example? Yeah,
it's like in a movie sometimes like someone would be listening to a radio.
So the robots going,
the robots
like
talking. That is an example. Yes,
and that becomes a song, right?
Yeah. Dude, love that.
Dude, it makes me want to sing. And here's the weird thing: I know you guys listen to soundtracks. I listen to the Outcast soundtrack, the old sci-fi game. That was phenomenal. But I don't listen to soundtracks very often. I don't think I would enjoy that song by itself either. The honest truth, I would probably hear it and go, "Oh, it's pretty good." But when when it came out of the visual, it's like your ears are connected to your brain or your eyes, and for some reason, it's almost like when I listen to music.
It's like when you taste something,
or when you watch a music video and they have like a crowd. It's 10 times better for me than if I listen to the music video and it's like a solid picture or the graph. If it's like a crowd and there's movement, my brain is like, it's all crunched up. It's like compressed. Gathry's Galaxy, $2 super chat. Far Cry 5. Jesus, Far Cry 5's is awesome. Dude, Far Cry 5's is incredible. That's the bluegrass stuff. And a Justified fan like me, I had not heard it before until I watched Justified. And then Far Cry 5 came out, and it was the first like doubling up of audio. I had never been introduced to that music. And I was like, this is good.
Awesome.
Dude, it is. It is. Jay Reaper, DMC5, had a great soundtrack, $5 super chat. Yeah, see, this is the problem. I think now we're just going to list a bunch of really good soundtracks. Because
and there are a lot, like Final Fantasy 14, the MMO has a great soundtrack.
Oh God, dude, did you listen? Did you play any of the new patches? Like
no, I've done the latest like big expansion and that's it.
Oh, dude, if you ever do a trial with like a red guy, come hit me up, man. That's fucking they take a song, I think, from FF4 and then remake it. It's amazing. Nice. Amazing, dude. Yeah, no, FF16 as well. Soken is just a god for sure. FF16 was bombastic. It was epic as fuck. When it
Soul Sleeper, $12 super chat. Gents, he's going to ask another question. Let me verify we have hit all the others, and I'll come back to it. King Back, a $5 super chat. The Metal Gear series has some of the best OSTs. Snake Eater is one of the best Bond-style theme songs ever.
And Old Snake theme song from MGS4.
Oh my God!
I love
another one. Deus Ex, the original Deus Ex, when the wording comes up and it's like da, 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 da. Have you guys heard that one? The main theme from Unreal 1999.
The original.
The main theme from Unreal 1999 is like something you would like on its own. Both of those, Absy, just because they're electronics, dude. You'll do both of those songs. I saw somebody randomly mention that. When that comes on and there's like this electricity and it's old, it's like when they were surprised they could do 3D font. This is an old game. But Deus Ex comes out and it's like, da-da-da-da-da. It's got this, it's almost like a superhero techno. So it's very difficult to describe, but it is fantastic. So going back to...
Oh, and Darktide. Darktide had amazing tracks.
Did Darktide?
Yeah.
Did it?
Darktide had an incredible track. It was like kind of Nordic, electronic.
Oh, well, then I'll have to listen to that. Soulskeeper, back to yours. Soul Sleeper, $12 super chat. Gents, always good to kick off the weekend. Is there a game that's considered to be really bad, but your secret guilty pleasure? Cheers, Stefan.
I've had some in the past.
Really? Let's go low though, dude. Let's dig up our history. Is there a game that you know is legit? Like, if you went to look at a score, we're talking like 50s, 60s that you still like. Is there any of those games?
Oh shit, man, no. 50, 60.
It gets too low,
days.
Right? It gets too low where you're like, yeah.
Today, that's like a 1 or a 2 back in the day.
Yeah, so let's say it's a 3 back in the 3 or a 4. Is there a game that you're playing and you're like, dude, this game is bad, but like I'm not telling anybody, but I'm gonna play it. I'm trying to think.
I just feel like I'm wasting my time at that point. I mean, the last one I remember. I mean, I enjoyed playing Strangers of Paradise secretly.
Oh my God!
Oh, did you?
That's worth this conversation, dude. Come on.
That fits perfectly.
That fits.
Because I was super hooked into the job system, so I was like super hooked into like leveling up all the jobs. Because you'd level up 2 different jobs and make it into a 3rd job, and then into a 4th job and shit. Right. And I was just like fucking around with like different weapons.
You dived full into the.
Yeah, but I didn't play for long because like obviously the levels get to you at some point.
Man, that game was legitimately rough. That's a good. I'm trying to think if there's really a game that like I mean when they're that bad, I think they're not.
The werewolf one you played.
Oh,
now Reg loved that game.
Reg loved it.
Reg. Okay, first of all, one of the best music. It's I can't remember their name, but they're from New Zealand, and they have a song. It isn't in English, and it is phenomenal. It is an amazing main theme. That is the only good part of that game. Like that game is not good part. The game is just insanely average or below average.
Yeah, I got nothing that low. Lords of the Fallen recently got like kind of mixed.
Oh right, it got mixed
like,
scores.
Some people hated on it, and I liked it, but. Yeah, that's about it.
You also liked another roguelike that was kind of also rated low. I remember, Johnny, the one where you turn into a bird.
Turn into a
Raven
bird.
Something.
Oh yeah, didn't you end up liking Raven's Cry or Raven's? Oh my God, if you can't remember, then maybe he didn't. Raven's. Yeah,
It was
came
like
out
open
about
world roguelike.
6 months ago, Johnny, and I think I did an early access review. Maybe I covered it. It's pretty rough, but you remember you could transform into the bird in real time and like fly around.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. That's a great example. I
Yeah, that's a
forgot the
great
name
example.
already.
Yeah.
I forgot the game already entirely.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
That's a perfect example of
That's
that
true.
one.
That was a bit of a stinker, but I had fun with it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good, because it probably is in 5 to 7 range, I would assume, if we looked at reviews. I don't know. So it's not in the 3 or 4, but yeah. Man,
It's
like,
weird. Steam reviews, for some reason, always align with what I think of a game. Like, if it's overwhelmingly positive, it's more than likely that I will like it. And if it's mixed, it's more than likely that I will not like it.
Except you
depending
do
on
have
time, do you give it
the
an amount of
bombing
time?
and stuff.
Yeah, like that's what I was going to say. Do you mean checking it day 1, or do you mean after 3 months?
Oh, not day 1. No. Definitely with the review bomb filter on, and like the
There's a review bomb filter?
I was gonna.
Yeah, on Steam.
No shit. The
Yeah.
only thing I have for
Really?
Steam is the word cloud, which is very useful. And Red showed me that one where if you do Edge or whatever, your browser, and it takes all the words from the reviews and then word clouds them and makes them bigger if it's mentioned more. And so you can look at it right
that's
away.
cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
so you
that's
can
so
go,
sick.
if you see no Chinese translation, and it's the biggest, you can go, okay.
Boom.
Yeah, boom.
Yeah.
It's like, or pronouns, and you're like, all right, here we go. You already know, what the major complaint is, and then you can look around it. Anybody in chat, what's some games that you guys, Game of Thrones RPG, Rogerio says, that is, and Game of Thrones Telltale.
Telltale.
I know a lot
remember
of people.
the Telltale.
Yeah, I know a lot.
know.
That was a pretty rough game. That's a
And
good example.
The Lost game. I enjoyed
I
that.
like the
and Path
Lost
of
game.
Neo. I loved Path of Neo as well.
The Matrix one?
Yeah, where you just go through all of Neo's story, but there's also they add some shit because they
That's
always just
legitimately
added
a bad
weird
game,
shit.
by the way.
Yeah, I loved it. But I was like a huge Neo simp. Like I was when I was a kid, Neo was like my hero.
It's hard too
Yeah.
because like if it's a fiction you like and that's the only way it's served, because really there haven't been a lot of Matrix games, and you look at it and you're like, listen, I like the world. Oh,
Just enter
Crackdown
the
3.
Matrix or this.
Whoa,
Oh,
Terrence
wow.
says Crackdown 3, that Agents of Mayhem I thought was not very good. And I think it's Nor. Who just loves it. And every
Loves
time he
it?
mentioned it, I read the Discord chat and be like, dude, what?
Yeah.
Like there's such a, well, it's like you and strangers appear.
Survive?
No, somebody didn't mention Metal Gear Survive.
No way, dude.
Did somebody mention that?
No way. Yeah, he just
Did I
said
mention-
King
Calling
Baki.
bullshit on it.
No way,
It's
dude.
impossible.
They're just trying to be edgy.
Crazy, dude. That's like
Are-
Gollum. Like I like Gollum or something.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the honest truth.
Crazy.
I don't know how this was done, and I don't know. But I saw some reviews when that came out, and there were some people, there were smaller channels, but they were like, "It's a great game," blah blah blah. And I was like,
Damn.
I don't even know if it's about, like, I've never played it. I couldn't judge, honestly. I just heard that it was trash.
Well, you can, looking at it.
"It's bad, man." I mean, it's like it is
Well, I
bad.
saw-
It's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Redfall, for example, compared to Gollum. Gollum's worse because it's like not fun in any
It's
shape
like
or
not
form.
competent in
It's not
any way.
competent. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
you
yeah,
look
yeah.
at Redfall and you're like, it's also lacking in most but there's a couple things that you look at and you're like, this might be able to be fixed. With
Like they were
Gollum,
trying.
I can tell you Gollum would need to be torn down and remade to be
Yes.
adequate.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
it starts at 1 maybe.
Yeah.
Josh L, hey dudes, $5 super chat. Thanks for the pod. Any old games you used to be great at, then went back to years later and sucked? Mine would be Wave Racer for N64.
Counter Strike. Oh my god.
Uh-oh.
Counter Strike. I used to be like really good. Like I actually, I'm not even tooting my horn. Like I used to play in high ranks in the, not in the main rank thing, like in the pro rank ladder or whatever.
Right.
Like I was all up on it. I knew every, like, if you throw, like, I knew exactly where to throw every smoke, every flash, like what to do, where to peek, blah blah blah. And now I just like tried to play CS2 for fun, and I'm just like, let me shoot some people.
I believe after watching a random a short of Joe Rogan where him and a guy were watching Quake 3. And I was very good at Quake 3. But what I just saw last night, I'm pretty sure I suck at Quake 3.
Yeah,
because
the podcast when they saw
even Joe
I
Rogan,
saw that.
even Joe Rogan was like, this guy's probably not getting up from his chair for 8 to 10 hours. He was he was doing stuff I remember doing in Unreal. I was really good in Unreal, very good in Quake, but not that. I mean, the stuff it almost looked like a cheat bot, but I think that's just because it's been so long. But he was doing stuff where it was like swiveling 180, perfect headshot, and then he would do stuff I like to do, which is test by firing into an empty cave, or you fire into a hallway and see if somebody reacts. But his shit was like firing because he must have been hearing them, and the guy'd come right in the head, and you'd be like, why even play against that guy? Like, your body's made of handles, and he's playing basketball. You're just gonna get you're gonna get fucked through the entire game. It was whoever this guy was, he was primo. Like it. Yeah. I would bet.
I love how like balls. When anybody mentions any game, he's like, oh, Quake.
Quake, yeah.
Every time.
By the way, that's the way this is a new convo, and he did the same. I repeat myself
like Post Malone. Yeah,
that's the one I watched. That was the one. Yeah, where him and Post Malone were watching Quake 3.
Talking, I think Post Malone. I think he was Post Malone was talking about playing. Where's that multiplayer game that came out this year?
So he was playing. He was also at that time. He said he had just got out of Xbox because he said gamertag, and he said, "I'm probably dating myself because I don't even know if gamertags exist anymore."
Yeah. He said that. Yeah.
He brings up Elden Ring a lot and stuff like that. It's always good to see, people who.
Yeah, he's a huge game. He knows that. Like game.
Oh, Diablo 4 is what he brought up.
Diablo.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Diablo. He's like, when the kids put to
Yep.
bed and the wife is tired and she's asleep, and he's like, 5 hours goes away when I'm playing Diablo 4. I also like it because when you're in games, even in podcasts, we try to crouch stuff because like our chat's pretty good, but some I like this game. Oh, you fucking stupid, blah blah blah. What I liked about him and Joe talking is he didn't say, "Oh, Diablo 4, it's got," at least from what I remember, I didn't hear him explaining away any issues.
They're normal people. They're
normal people. Exactly.
They're normal people. They just enjoy games.
That surmised what I was trying to say crudely.
The gaming community online is not normal people. You guys in chat are not normal people.
Yeah, I mean,
we're not normal people.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah. I mean,
we're not. Yeah.
Like every time, that's why I do like going for. We go to work out, and like Cadiz is more normal, and he'll talk about a game, and I'll be like, "Damn, son, like." Really? You like that? And admittedly, he's soft on games, but at the same time, the microtransaction conversation doesn't come up at all. All that. I remember when I was doing Maddie's podcast, he had a friend where he had just done a microtransaction bitch video and then went golfing, and one of his brother's friends was on the phone asking his parents if he could borrow $200 for like NBA 2K. And Maddie's like, do you even know who I am? Like, I'm right here. I just bitched about that. Like, what are you doing? It was so funny because it's like, no, he has no clue.
I was telling you the other day, like we were talking about how it's stupid Forza Motorsport had like the leveling stuff for each car or whatever. But my friend's just loving it and enjoying it. And it's not like he never just comes and be like, oh, but I didn't like this. But there's never a but, He's like, oh, yeah, I'm enjoying this game. Right. Oh, yeah, I'm just like playing this game. Like, there's never like a critique, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's definitely like, a normie thing for sure.
David Larson, you are right. This podcast will be at least as long as the Call of Duty campaign. It just came out.
Yeah, dude, you could play it while you watch and be done with it.
You could if you had started, there's a very good chance you're in the last boss battle if there is one.
I did have an answer for the question, by the way. So Mega Man 10, I used to play that on the Super Nintendo, and I was really good at it. I like 100%ed that game.
Oh, wow.
And now I played it with my cousin. He came over some months ago from Brazil, and we were playing that just for nostalgia. And dude, I can barely like move in the game because it was so like specific, so quirky. Like some buttons you had to press 2 buttons at the same time, like the X and the Y or whatever, to do a move. And the only way to do it was to press those at the same time. And I was like, dude, what? My brain couldn't parse the technology of pressing 2 buttons at the same time, man.
Or at least
it just never happened.
It just never. It wasn't
in that game. Yeah.
I would say also, I liked True Crime 1. and True Crime 2 more than either one of those they deserved, really. True Crime 1 in particular, you can look at it. I don't know what the reviews are.
Bad?
But yeah, I mean, they're
in my
really...
circle, everyone loved them, dude.
I know, because here's the thing. Just like Saints Row, the moment a GTA killer was a conversation, there's always going to be fans who like that game because they dislike GTA. You know, they disliking the big thing. True Crime was billed as that. The True Crime games were like, here's a third-person open. But True Crime in particular, 1, which I liked a lot, had one of the worst series of boss battles I've ever seen in my life.
I forgot, man. I just remember...
Unplayable, almost.
Yeah, I remember just playing them all the way.
I think I did, too. Yeah. Do you know another game? People are going to hate me for this. I think Def Jam Vendetta is bad. I think it's bad.
Def Jam.
I know.
Wait, which one did I play?
You probably played Vendetta, the one with
Fight for New York.
Fight for New York. Yeah. Oh, that one was bad too. They're not good games.
I loved them.
I know.
Maybe but when I was a kid, dude, I don't know. I played so many games.
Also, not a good game. The first Toshinden.
Yeah. I mean, I loved Kane and Lynch, and Kane and Lynch isn't regarded as.
Well, Kane and Lynch 2 is bad. Kane and Lynch 1 isn't considered terrible. Yeah, I think you're talking about. 2 is really bad. 1 is playable and competent.
Yeah.
Costco Freak says it seems creative. Costco Freak, I was right. He says it seems Creative Assembly has been under fire from fans lately after the Pharaoh release, and some information came to light as how Sega's running it. It's sad to see one of my favorite game series possibly crumbling. What are your thoughts on that? So have either one of you guys done Total War or the Total War games in the last 10 years?
No, I played a little bit of Warhammer 3, but then I got what do you when you get burnt out by convoluted everything, too much choice paralysis? I don't know.
Analysis paralysis.
Overwhelmed.
Analysis paralysis. Maybe I got overwhelmed a little because I never played one ever before, any Total War, and I just jumped into that Megalodon campaign and chose
where there's an option on every bit of the screen. It's like playing Stellaris. If you got somebody who wanted to do a turn-based star game 4X, and you're like, hey, play Stellaris, most people would be like, I don't understand. What every single thing is something. I will say this. The reason why I asked these guys in particular 10 years is my personal opinion is far before Sega. I personally think that Creative Assembly is not too creative, to make a bad pun. I honestly do think that some of their games are great, but I think since Warhammer 2 started regurgitating stuff, it's been pretty rough. Those guys. I'm just not a big fan of their stuff too much anymore. What's your guys' favorite co-op game this bad toy in the Discord? He says, what's your favorite co-op game to play with friends and why? So current.
Dude, I haven't ever since I think December of last year, I was just on a solo cruise, and I've been I don't know why, every time a friend would ask me to play something, I'd just be like, I just kind of want to do my own thing, play my own thing. I don't know why. Plus, this year had just an amazing lineup of single player games.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
could be that, but I've just not been into multiplayer. I actually, the last time I played co-op for a while was with Johnny. We played one of the tower defense games and shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys stream that. Right? Because I think I watched you guys streaming that. What about you, Johnny? Any co-op games you're doing right now?
Probably League is the only thing that I play with friends sometimes. That's it.
And me, I would say none. I think I got burned out on the technical issues. A lot of these games with co-op, or honest truth is, as Johnny said with his friend, I don't like my friend's choices in games. And if I'm doing a co-op game like Baldur's Gate, that person has to know that you don't know what choice I'll make, because every choice is going to be defined by what I'm presented with, and my friends are more good, or they're more this, or they're more that, and they don't want to play that way. Yeah, co-op has died out for me a little bit.
Something like Baldur, I would definitely play a co-op game like Army of Two, for example.
Exactly.
But something like Baldur's Gate 3, I need my own pace. I would get too. I'd be like, Ozer, what do you want to do now? Oh, where do you want to go now? I hate that. I just want to kind of go wherever I want to go.
And you feel like you're slowing them up, or they feel like they're slowing you up, or they skip a cutscene or whatever, and I'm like, listen, I didn't I probably didn't download.
Or it's like, hey, we're
start
talking to
playing
this
to
NPC
skip
now.
something.
Oh,
Yeah.
we gotta go talk to that NPC now. Like, it's just
Yeah, the
And the worst-
coordination.
The worst is when
Yeah.
somebody, what just happened? And you're like, all right, we're done. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't want to
yeah.
hear what just happened ever in a
Yeah.
game, because I like that focused where, you know, I do think Spider-Man 2 as 2-player would have been fun.
would have been cool. Yeah, something
it
like
would-
that. I have no issue with.
Me neither.
Yeah.
If you told me Spider-Man
yeah.
2 was going to be co-op, I would be
Mhm.
creaming.
I
Like I
just-
would be so happy.
Dude, I want a game like not live service and stuff where we go and just loot. And I want a co-op game again where it's just like you're watching a movie together but playing. You know, kind of like just going through cutscenes together.
Yep.
Simple, no choices. And
Yeah,
just
I
shooting
thought
shit, you know what I mean?
Remnant 2 was a pretty good co-op game.
Yeah,
Me-
Remnant
we
2
did a
was
bit-
really- Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I still haven't
Yeah, we did a bit
played
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't played it
that
yet.
might be the last true, because that was the last. That might be the last one that I did co-op with somebody. And Remnant 2 is a very technically it worked, very sound game. I really enjoy. So I would say Remnant 2. I don't play with friends like after that, but I would. I think I played once or twice with Cadiz. Yes, I did play with Cadiz. We even streamed it in the Discord. So. Yeah, Remnant 2. That's a good. I'm glad you brought that up because I don't want to diss on all co-op games. That game is very good. Cyber Rez says, "What would be some fun references, callbacks to past Bond games you'd like to see in this Bond game?" Oh, okay. For me, a laser camera would be awesome to play around with. Oh, the flash being replaced by laser.
Golden Revolver.
Golden Revolver is like, yeah, that's like one, right?
The watch, the laser watch.
The watch stuff, but I'm in love with that ring, man. When he broke the window,
The ring. Yeah, that was sick.
I was just
was that in GoldenEye or was that?
No,
in,
that was Pierce Brosnan. That was one of the Brosnan ones. He got it, and there was a
GoldenEye
skylight.
was Brosnan.
Oh, you're right. That is the first.
Yeah, but Skylight. No, day tomorrow or something. Tomorrow never dies.
Die Another Day.
Right?
Tomorrow Never Dies. Tomorrow's
One of
yesterday. One of those.
Yeah, I
right?
think all of those are.
They're all
yeah.
legitimate titles.
It had snow in it. I remember it had snow in it.
Oh, the Ice Castle. The Ice Castle.
Yes.
Where they made the castle out of, that was a weird movie, but it was fun.
Yeah,
it was fun.
yeah.
That was dude.
Awesome.
It also, I guess I'm into cold chicks, but that girl, man, she stoked me. I love that chick in that. Forever Beaver Lover asked about Alan Wake. We already answered that. Mad Clown says, skip this if it's repetitive. What's been the biggest rage moment for you in a video game? Like rage quitting, alt F4ing, or shutting down the power of the house, throwing the PC console out the window.
Jesus.
That became
Well,
aggressive
not that
quick.
far. But I think Star Wars Jedi, I just uninstalled it like
Survivor
instantly.
or
Survivor.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one. Yeah. Because I hated it. Not because
For me, it
the
was-
tough fight.
Oh yeah, you just didn't play well.
I hated it. Yeah. What about you?
Callisto Protocol.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's
The moment they started throwing like 5 different guys at me, and the game mechanic was that you had to like fucking swing to the side, and then it doesn't work when there's more than one person in front of you.
Oh no!
And the game is just actual trash, like the gameplay at all levels. That's one of the very few games
Yeah.
I rage quit because I
Oh,
didn't
shit.
want to keep playing. It's very
Yeah.
rare because I usually get into games that,
Challenge.
I'm already interested in, like I know I'm gonna
Right.
like to a minimum level.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
But yeah, that was
Josh
For
L
sure.
said, I had a friend who threw his keyboard out the window because of RuneScape.
But honestly, with Callisto, no one could have predicted this, dude. Like it had all
Nah.
when we looked, it had all the writings of like an awesome game. Dude.
yep.
Yeah, except for one trailer, which Karak pointed out, which came out to be true. I remember that.
Yeah, it was
It was like a
un-
gameplay trailer, and it was like,
yeah, it was
yo, this is
unfortunate
rough.
because,
And I was like, "What are you talking about, Karak? What do you mean rough?"
well, I mean, and sometimes I'm just like, it doesn't click. But that one, there were some
Yeah.
things that in one, it's almost like somebody got a little lazy with the editing and showed what the game was, and you were like,
yeah.
uh-oh.
Like,
But
oh,
I
no.
love being wrong. Marvel's completely wrong on Guardians of the Galaxy. So it's
Right,
like,
right. And
you know,
Hogwarts,
yeah, Hogwarts. I was pretty excited. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty excited. I think Hogwarts. I was more hoping it turned out as good as it, because I thought some of the trailers looked really good. But yeah, I do remember I had an issue with, and I still do, there's some issues with the combat in Hogwarts that I didn't love. You know, the way it played out with some of the baby spells and stuff. I was just like, this is a little. Yeah, they sort of have to do it, I guess. I mean, in a game like that. The one that I would agree, Jedi Survivor is mine. So Jedi Survivor played so bad that I remember I didn't fucking make this game plays so bad video. Because I was like, I would rather lose money than even possibly get somebody to go reverse of me and go, well, Karak doesn't like it, I'm buying it, which does happen. So I was like, that game's getting no coverage. None. It was fucking should not have been released day one. Man.
The way it was released was incredible because even on PC, people were getting full-on cutscenes being like either no audio or completely off sync, stuttering like crazy.
And it's one of the biggest companies. Yeah. It's fucking frustrating because, dude, it makes me worry about Outlaws, Star Wars Outlaws for Ubisoft, because we just talked about this while Johnny was gone, but it's like, why would you buy Wolverine's IP to do Wolverine and then have a bad game? You know what I mean? You're spending money, you're doing all this, and Star Wars is the same way. And I thought the original Jedi was pretty fun. Yeah. And so, like, when you get Survivor, and it's not only...
And this one, I would say, is fun, too. If you're able to actually, play the game...
Oh, I hated it. Like, bugs aside.
That's fair. I know you have that opinion, but I would just say, like, if you like the first game, this, has some cool stuff. It sounds like Karak is like, no, I'm not even granting you that, man.
No, I mean, I'll grant... I don't know, man. I mean, I'll grant it to you because you played it longer. I turned it off, and I will never, ever, 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 ever have it ever installed on anything ever. Sure. If it's free and they paid me $1,000, I would turn it down. It is... It wasn't fun when I was playing it, and it worked. And it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun to tease when it wasn't working. And that's how I know there's a problem with a game, because I love to tease. You come up with hyperbole, and you're like, this is going to be fun. We'll get to tear into this game. I legitimately was like, fuck. Nope.
Yeah.
I should have done
nope.
I should have done a YouTube short that was like every other a montage of other games, and then just be like, oh, this is actually a review for Jedi Survivor. Nope. Yeah, nope. It was. Yeah. Rick Flair Randy says, why do you guys think biometric feedback technology in gaming hasn't taken off despite early experiments like Nintendo's Vitality sensor? The amount of shit my pants moments already in Alan Wake and other horror games would send me off the charts. Do you guys know what he's talking about, that it measured your heartbeat? The Vitality sensor?
I remember there was a Kickstarter for whenever you get punched in a fighting game, you get blood donated from you.
Dude, come on, man. We knew that would never pan out.
What a bad idea. No, but I mean, I don't know. I have my watch that tracks my heart rate. There's a lot of streamers that when they play scary games, they put the heart rate monitor on the side there. So there's that. I just for myself, I wouldn't care for that unless, again, I'm like streaming or something. Yeah.
What about chat? Do you guys like this kind of stuff? Biometrics? I think I don't know
like what it would incorporate in a game.
I don't know what it would incorporate that I would like. I don't have any issue with it at all. No negatives, but I just haven't seen one that a horror game doesn't interest me at all. Just
no.
I'm trying an action game. What would they do? Maybe make your character.
If you know how there's a game called Don't Scream that if you scream you die in the game.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like if your heart rate goes over 120, you die.
Yeah. Or yeah. Game. Oh, dude. What if it's a horror game where your character has a a bad heart, right?
Yeah.
And you have to. And it's just jump scare that,
or like Crank, where you have to keep
like
going.
Crank,
and
where you have to. Oh my god, that would be a good game. I'd play a biometric game if it was like you have to keep your heartbeat at like
drink
110
a bunch of
or
coffee,
above.
kill yourself.
Dude, that would be legit, like Crank. And if it goes, what happened to his? If it went below, he died, right? That would. That's why he's like banging the chick in front of people. There's some weird stuff in that movie.
Yep.
But
that was a weird.
That's real.
That was
like fun. I watched it like 4 times as a kid.
It was obviously all in fun. And Jason Statham. Yeah, biometrics. So ignoring the low, I like the idea of keeping it high. That would be.
What if it was like
that would be awesome.
Controlling where you're looking at
heart rate.
So it's a game. So you're playing this game and you have to look the ladies in the eyes or men, whatever you're into.
Johnny.
If you look at their bodies, you get dinged.
Well, no. What about a horror game where if you meet eye contact, you die because it's like a demon? And
you have to fight
guys
like Medusa.
Like Medusa. That would be legit if you're fighting and it's using like the Toby eye thing and it's like can't make eye contact or you're frozen in place. Yeah, that would be.
That's creative. Awesome. That's cool.
That would be awesome. Yeah. Anybody listening?
Those are definitely all like stream game, like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. That is true. D Drizzle says, "Did you guys try the 0 assist swinging setting in Spider-Man 2? Difficulty options often rely on combat or level difficulty, so I was happy to see one based on movement. What other game would you want a movement-based difficulty opinion?
I never tried that in Spider-Man, but I saw someone like just swing and on the wall and just splat and die.
Yeah.
I didn't.
It's a superhero game. I wanted him to swing like a superhero. That's just my honest answer. So the idea of turning that on to me was, in no way, shape, or form was it like exciting. But I do think that the idea is pretty cool. But I saw a lot of people splatting.
But I would have done it, but the game was a bit too janky for that. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, you know how we've seen that before in other games too, where there's an option or something, and you're like, I get where they were going with, but the gameplay doesn't back it up to turn it on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I know one. Call of Duty AI. You crank the Call of Duty AI all the way up in some of their games, and it was like instant death because there was no soft AI filter. It was just that guy could see you.
It wasn't good AI. It was just unbelievably accurate.
Unbelievably accurate AI. From across the map. SP3CU, always with good question. He says Modern Warfare 3 campaign is 4 hours long. Having this in a AAA game priced at 70 is crazy. I think some companies should look into giving an option of buying single-player and multiplayer content separately. What's your take? Let me just answer this, and then you guys can go. I think it's fucking terrible. Do not split the multiplayer and single-player. We saw Halo fail because of that, and it's taken them forever.
Say. That's it.
Instead, this company should be held accountable, not splitting up single-player and multiplayer.
No, they did it well in the past, just, But where did the dev time go to? Like, if you're using old maps, not changing much of the gameplay, why couldn't they just focus on the campaign? Why'd they have to be lazy as fuck, man?
Yeah, I don't know what even happened there, man. I just don't quite get how we got this. And ignoring the 70, because I don't think if this was a AA game at 50, I would bitch. Yeah. Like 3 hours is low, by the way. I mean,
Oh yeah,
Battlefield.
Even for indies, man.
Right.
Indies that take 3 hours.
What's the Battlefield game, Johnny, where you bounce into their lives? That was that Battlefield 1, where it was short?
Yeah, it's like different. Yeah.
Yeah, it was snippets because you died, right? Each person you jumped into ended up
you die and then you jump to the other person. Yeah.
So there you go.
It was like a tutorial. It was like it was like an intro sequence. It wasn't even like a campaign even.
And then Q Baller says, do you guys think it's worth playing Alan Wake or Control before Alan Wake 2 to get the full experience? I do plan on playing Control at some point, but really want to just dive into Alan Wake 2.
Wow, they already announced the Diablo 4 expansion, by the way, breaking news.
Oh, in Activision?
Just now, 50 minutes ago. Vessel of the Hatred.
Is that surprising that it was this at this time? Or?
Early? I'm kind of surprised, but I guess
early?
Like it just came out like a couple months ago, and they're already announcing expansion. Coming in late 2024. Okay, I guess they just announced it early.
Yeah, it's so weird because, I mean, those kind of games have to be really good for me to want to play. And I'm not saying Diablo 4 isn't good, but whatever is there, it didn't pull me into play at all. You said you only had like 25 hours in Diablo, right?
Yeah, I loved the story. One of the best cutscenes I've ever seen in a game, and that was it for me. Yeah, I don't really right now. Like I would like to, I would like to kind of fuck around and play while I watch something, but the lag is just too bad for me. I don't know why. Ever since the new patch or whatever, it's just been very sticky.
Yeah, any of those games, that's just one of the things is like if it's an online game, I mean, if the main core component, which is lag, is not working, half of the game is not there. So luckily with campaign, you don't have to. Is it always online with campaign? Do you have to be plugged in?
It's always online. Yeah, it's always online. So Diablo 2 was like the last one where you could play offline.
Yeah. Oh, really? Man, that's like 56K modem times. Yeah, I would say playing Control is, if you can take the time to play Control, I think it's worth it. That's all I'll say. I just think it's worth playing those games, and that watching is not the same as playing them.
Even if you've played it in the past, you can watch a recap, but I would definitely say like play them. I love those games, but play them.
And then Abzi, you posted this. I'm trying to make sure. Oh, that was Wednesday's podcast. Okay, because I was like, Avatar preview. I clicked on the wrong link.
Oh, yeah,
I was like, I think we already talked about that.
Gotcha.
What else do we got then for news? Looking in here, what did you guys have? Looks like...
something popped up
go for it.
About Lords of the Fallen. The devs released a disastrous patch.
Oh, I heard.
That kind of like sunk the game. Just to give you an idea without getting into the details, imagine that you have a weapon that goes to +10 in the upgrades, right? The boss weapons used to go to +5. So it's just a different upgrade system. But they changed it so that the boss weapons now also go to +10. But what happened is you had a +5 and now it goes to 10, but your weapon is now half of what it was. And you already
so they didn't extend it. They didn't. Shit.
And you spent a consumable thing to get it to 10.
And I bet for the boss weapons, it's a rare, like it's a one.
Yeah, an item that you can only find like a couple times in the campaign. There is another way you can get it by doing a ton of multiplayer, like hours, to get one. So some people are actually stuck where they lost their weapon. Like they can't fully upgrade their weapon anymore.
They need to go back on that. Why would you update something like that to a single player?
So
mainly
here's the thing. They've done many other horrible changes, and all of it is driven by the cries of people in the PvP community. Because people are crying, PvP invaders are too strong because of this. And they've done like a complete knee-jerk reaction in nerfing or changing all these things that were
I heard about
powerful in PvP. So I have a huge issue in like balancing the game around PvP.
No, they should balance PvP. Like, man, okay, some games do this and it's smart, and some games don't do this and it's so dumb. And PvP and PvE should be balanced differently, separately, always. It's so stupid to balance like PvE content around PvP. It's so dumb. And I've seen some games do that, and it's just always stupid.
I personally am not too stressed because I think they'll reverse it. Everything I saw seems like it's like, obviously, this was
decision.
It's just like this. And somebody just said there was a patch an hour ago for Lords of the Fallen. So we'll have to see if that patch was, because it doesn't make any. You look at it and you're like, that makes
makes no damn sense, dude.
Well, and we talk about every company needs a Steve. That company needed a Steve to be sitting in there and go, no, we're not doing that. Like that doesn't make any sense. I would also say, can't you turn off invaders?
No.
So invaders.
Well, sorry, you can turn off networking in general completely.
Okay.
But you can't turn off only invaders.
That to me is also a mistake, because the honest truth is a lot of people may want to play a Lords of the Fallen with no invaders. And
I agree.
I would definitely be one of those people. I just want to engage in the content they made. I don't care if Jackass Hillbilly 757 wants to play. It's like, I don't give a shit about him. I want my game. I don't want an invader whatsoever coming in my game, and I think that is already so. Their first mistake was not allowing that. Like that's a huge mistake, man.
And we saw that in Elden Ring, they had that option.
Yep.
So
well, haven't all Dark? Am I wrong? Aren't most Dark Souls games?
No, I think Elden Ring was the first one to have that option, and then traditionally they were like.
You know what? I think you're right, because when I reviewed Neo 2. And I reviewed Dark Souls, both of them had just the few people reviewing playing. So you didn't have to worry about someone coming into your game, because Neo 2's was off, but you didn't have to worry about that as much. So even if somebody did pop in.
did have the setting where you could turn it off. I was thinking of like Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Stupid. Yeah. I mean, I love the idea of multiplayer and single player being mixed, and not, having, so if I open up the main menu, I want to see single player and multiplayer there. I don't want a different package, a different executable, but at the same time, you shouldn't be matching them together. Also Digital Foundry. So did you guys see the stuff about the Switch that they covered? Rich covered? Did you see it, Abzy?
Which stuff? No.
Oh, this morning I posted it, but it wasn't too long prior to this. But Rich tried to break down what it might be capable of by using all the leaks and then mathematical calculations for bandwidth and all that stuff. And it seems pretty powerful, man. Like he had some good ideas, and of course a lot of it's guesswork because we don't know exactly. First of all, one of the big things, we don't know the speed of the cartridge. So that's one of the biggest problems of the Switch is their flash card or whatever is super slow, and so they have a decompress block like the PS5 has. Xbox does it differently, but they have a decompress block to handle super fast streaming between your source and the game system itself. And until we know that, we won't know what it can do. But there's some good guesses on DLSS, power. There were some calculations for battery life, depending, that's nice. Normally you can look at a battery and now guess, for the most part, at 100% how long is this battery going to last. But he did a good job on breaking it down. And I think John's John's definitely my favorite just because he's my age. But Rich breaks things down in a really good way, pretty analytical, no real fandom. It's like, here's what we got. But one of the nice things he sort of did, guys, is, and I don't know if he was throwing shade, and I don't care if he was, but he was basically debunking some rumors of performance by stating mathematically that's impossible. So I think it was 4K Zelda 60 FPS, and he was like, technically, because of the delay in DLSS, you actually can never get 60. Because it was like 15 milliseconds. So he was doing the math, and he was like, so these rumors about this can't technically be possible because currently what we're looking at for frame gen or at this time it was just DLSS by itself. But do you know what else he did say, bringing up frame gen? This is probably not the GPU that supports frame gen. So that will be interesting to see exactly what we get out of this and how. I mean, they'll probably be able to figure a way in, but I'll be interested to see if it has it. I think frame gen would be a lifesaver.
That would be a lifesaver and a half. But DLSS alone as well would be a step up.
Yeah, and it's for sure gonna have. What's the one prior 3 or whatever? Prior to the DLSS frame gen, it'll minimum have that. DLSS is gonna be a huge bonus. And what's interesting too, dude, is some of the breakdowns that we've seen from people show some pretty terrible resolutions looking pretty good on a handheld. DLSS upscaling just to 1080p or whatever. You're like, dude, that doesn't look bad at all on a handheld. It's trying to output it, I think, is the big problem.
Less PPI and shit, or more PPI. Yeah.
PPI sounds very sexual.
PPI.
What's your PPI?
Pixel per inch.
FSR is going to be free firmware update early 2024 for PS5. I think if FSR is on anything, it'll be on all of them because they use the same stuff. So if the consoles are going to patch it in, it'll be in. I think frame gen also will depend on the company because a fast game, they may not want to use it depending on latency. There's all kinds of issues with it. But all these companies have been doing upscaling. Spider-Man, or not Spider-Man, but Insomniac's been really good at their own upscaling. So, and now they're just using the generic versions. I think upscaling's awesome if you can make it look good. It's like, dude, let's do it. Unless you're, like I said, unless you're a pixel peeper and you're like, this pixel's slightly off. I think I was telling Abzy, maybe it was after the review. We'll say it was after. But I was looking at Alan Wake, and I was pretty impressed. FSR didn't look so bad. I've had issues with FSR in the past looking, I don't know, man. Yeah, or in off color, I guess, where like it looked grimy. Far Cry 6, I think, was the one that just, to me at least, looked horrendous. And Alan Wake, I thought, was pretty good. I think overall, Alan Wake does it pretty well. I could be wrong.
I think it might be the first one that gives me better results with FSR compared to DLSS.
Because this one has both. To your eyes or to your frame rate?
No, just like frame rate wise.
Oh wow, okay.
And then in my eyes, I didn't notice any artifacts or anything. So that's good to go for me.
Dude, artifacts are weird anyway because it depends on how you play. I saw somebody breaking down Spider-Man with frame gen, and they were like, "Here's a leg that's out of order on up half of a frame," and I'm like, "Guys, come on, come on!" Like, if that's not a game
we're getting
player,
masturbatory again. Like.
Yeah, that's not a game player. Yeah, that's just masturbating. Your numbers all over your own face. So, was that too gross? Sorry. What other news do we have? We've got Digital Foundry talked about that. We got some more layoffs. Invincible came out. Embracer laid some people off. Alan Wake did a big patch today. I haven't got a chance to see that, but I didn't have a lot of problems with Alan Wake originally. Did you guys have any tech? Like, did you guys get the missing audio? I know I saw some people on Twitter having a lot of audio issues.
That's either on Xbox or if you installed it on a hard drive.
Interesting, because the PS5's FPS is pretty terrible compared to the Series X. So you're saying the Series X has better... So we know it's got better FPS. You're saying it's got better FPS, but on the Xbox is where this audio issue crops up?
Yeah. From what I'm reading, people on Reddit and stuff. But like, yeah, when people have it on PC, I was literally like, "Yo, dude, do you have it on a hard drive?" And they'd be like, "Oh, yeah, were we not supposed to?" And I feel like, do
you mean 72 RP, like a hard drive?
Yeah, like a hard drive.
Come on, dude, that's really. Yeah. I mean, the base consoles are now as like.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there hasn't been like a notice or I don't think.
True. That's fair.
I was saying that before, where I was like there needs to be like a thing, like what would you call it? Like an Amber Alert, where it's like, guys, don't use a hard drive.
Right. Because didn't Starfield give you one? Starfield gave you the Starfield alert. It was like...
Starfield, I don't know, but I remember when I was telling you about when I was in Dubai and I played it in that. They downloaded it for me on a hard drive, and it's just an infinite loading screen. It didn't even load, so I had to transfer it to the SSD they had.
By the way, anybody listening, I'm certainly not laughing at the cost of a SSD. I'm just saying that we're there. Any of these new games that are cheaper on now. Multiple, and they're cheap. They're NVMe or I got just a 2 terabyte
SSD for like $150. A Samsung Evo as well, a 990 Pro, like whatever.
Admittedly, that is $100 above the $60 for the game you might be wanting to buy. So I do get where somebody looks at it and goes, God. But
yeah, but it'll store way more games, or like, it'll be with you for longer than the game.
Right, but it's still for them. If they've been playing with hard drives, they see an Alan Wake or Starfield, they may not want to buy that and then add to the purchase of something. It's like
for sure,
they have their 70. I don't know anybody who has.
It's like future proofing, because like all future games will probably.
Yeah, I mean, most money spent is future proofing, though. I mean,
because now we're starting, since consoles are there now, we're starting to see games really utilize it.
Absolutely, yeah. And not only that, but they're not. It's almost even different than that. It's not only that they're like prepping for it; it's that they're not. Well, I think that's what you said. Yeah, not optimizing for the hard drive at all. They're just like assuming the SSD.
And they shouldn't optimize for hard drive, dude. I want to see games utilize the fast read speed for sure. Yeah.
And SSD is so funny because SSD is fast, but when you see an NVMe and then you look at an SSD or M2 for those people, but you look at it and you're like, oh my God. The difference is the difference between hard drive and SSD isn't nearly as big as the difference between an SSD,
SATA, and M2.
And you throw an NVMe, a version 4 or 5 in there, and you look at the numbers. Again, those are a benchmark number, but you look at them, you're like, oh shit!
Even like between two NVMe's, I have a 4000 one and a 7300 one, and I could see the difference.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I always now what I've been doing is buying bigger ones, using them for my OS, and then if I like a game and I'm worried about that, I install it onto the OS drive because I've got it partitioned off anyway. And then that way you don't have to spend a ton to get an extra, put it in your PCI slot, which somebody may not have the channels for that. But
it
does suck because some people just don't. I mean, I don't want to say, they don't know, they don't know that tech has popped up. Like you said, there needs to be an Amber Alert. There actually does. Like, do you have a hard drive? Yes. Are you sure? yes, you can't play this. Like, sorry. And you hit the button and it's like, thanks, refund automatically done. SSD is insanely fast. I have one. Yeah, they're great, but admittedly, they're money. You're on a channel that talks about games priced or rated via money, so I get why some people don't want to buy it. Like, I have a certain audience. Also, I think so. We've got CPUs and GPUs have both made jumps, but I think CPUs have made the smallest. And the reason why I bring that up is because when I was testing Alan Wake on the 8700 versus the 13, I was like, dude, the frame rate isn't that big of a jump. Even on the 4090, like it wasn't as big. If you go to 720p and you do that thing that benchmark companies, they're like, look, it gets 7,000 frames per second. It's like, who's playing at 720p? Nobody's playing at that. But I've noticed that CPU didn't make a huge jump. GPUs made a jump, but hard drive is probably the biggest. Hard drive and
GPU
and RAM.
Like the 30 to 40 series was like
pretty big jump.
Pretty insane jump. I wonder if it's gonna be that big of a jump for the 50 series as well.
Do you know why it was also a big jump though, dude? That VRAM jump. Because I think VRAM, Johnny was saying he's got 8, or did you get? No, Johnny got 12. No. He got lucky and he got
20,
the one with 24.
I think I got 24.
I apologize. You've got 24.
Yeah, I have 24.
You have 24. Okay, so somebody on one of the podcasts we were talking to only had like 8 or 12, and it might have been prior, but and I was like, that is a problem probably. Like that is when you start.
My 2080 had 8 gigabytes of
8 gigabytes.
VRAM.
That's
so I jumped from that to 24. Yeah.
Yeah, games like Last of Us 2, you started to see issues if you only had 8.
Yeah.
I think Red Dead, when I pumped up all the graphics and shit, and it was taking like 16 gigs, and I was like, damn, I wouldn't have been able to do that.
And you start getting like texture thrashing and weird stutters, and you're like, what's going on, man? Because and you'll look at your numbers and go, the numbers indicate I should have no issues. And then you realize, oh, I've got the video card with 12 gigs versus 16 or 24. What's the 4090? 4090's got 24, right?
24, yeah.
And then AMD, does AMD have one with even more? Or are they? I know they're doing the 3D. Yeah. That is another thing too. Is what I was trying to bring up was just that it feels to me like now, like what Abzi did, you almost have to do a full PC improvement, because if you get any really different PC part, you can get some really weird results in some games. Somebody was bringing up that they were playing Red Dead, and we were laughing because I think for a 5-year-old game, there's maybe only 6 games that look better than Red Dead 2. And that game's 5 years old.
Crazy.
Is that?
Yeah, Red Dead 2 is a looker and a half, man.
And we can say it's Rockstar, and that's true, but the game is like, I don't know how to describe
the game
this.
also performs really well.
The game also, so it's like, it is Rockstar. They do have money, but also it's just talent. I mean, not to be rude, because I think a lot of people like to pretend it's all money, but those guys, whoever's, I would like to talk to their engine guys, and be like, how did you get Red Dead to perform?
Well, they did a lot of tricks too.
Years ago. Did they?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember even on PS4, like I forgot what it was, but like the vistas, you would walk out and see vistas and they were rendered differently or something, like an image or some shit almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had a lot of tricks.
What's the best looking game to you guys in chat? The best looking game. It can be art.
Dude, I think Alan Wake 2 is up there, man. Alan Wake 2, Horizon Forbidden West.
Alan Wake 2, their characters look, I mean, I don't know how to describe it, but I think when you look close at an Alan Wake 2 character, they're really good looking.
And the mocap's really good too, and like their expressions and stuff.
Dude, Hellblade 1 is good though too.
Yeah.
Sorry, John. I interrupted.
No, it's fine. In the Mind Place, where you have a bit of a closer shot, and you see the pores and everything. It's really realistic.
That's why I'm glad I'm not in video games, because I don't have a 4K ready face. Like those, it's like when people joke about porn. Porn is not 4K ready. I mean, and that's
you want some blurriness in there.
Yeah, for sure. You want a little fantasy rubbed on this face. Go ahead. I interrupted.
And it just makes the live action stuff look more like less jarring, because it's very
because it's closer. You mean where it's like
I love it. There's I can't really talk about this because it's a spoiler. But like, there's like a thing you do in the Mind Place, and like, you see like live action stuff kind of when you're doing that thing, and I don't want to spoil it because anything can be a spoiler. And there's like a thing where something switches, and it's just really, really cool what they do with it. I can't say anything.
I'm seeing a good split. This is from the Vitravivian Man, whatever. Open World Forbidden West, linear Alan Wake 2. I think that's a good way of sort of separating them. Last of Us 2, yeah. Last of Us 2. I think Horizon probably from a sheer design.
Last of Us 2 was mind-blowing to me with its AI, like the enemy AI. Good.
And when they call out for friends that were missing and stuff, like that did a good job.
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah, I want to see more of that in like stealth games for sure.
Terrence says, do you guys think graphics will get too realistic? And I would say, yeah. That is...
yeah. Those cam body footage games, oh my god.
Dude, that unrecord? Like that game looks, you look at it and you're like, whoa, this is going to cause...
I didn't know it was a game.
Well, I even did that video going like, is this like too good? And we find out, no, it's not. They've used filters and stuff, but...
for sure.
Damn, I also think that the fantasy might go away. To give you an example, I don't want to see Aloy looking perfectly real. I don't know if I want to see Alan Wake as well. I don't know if I want to see FMV, because while you liked that they were closer, I actually felt a little jarred the first time you see Alan Wake in Alan Wake 2 in real person in the cutscene during the show, and I was like, I don't know. I think in my brain I have an idea of what Alan Wake looks like whenever I see him in real life.
Oh,
I'm like,
okay.
You know what?
I mean he was the same. He was the same guy from 1, but he changed.
He changed. There's a video of him morphing. Have you seen that? Where he's like,
no,
it's like, admittedly, it's 13 years. Well, 14, 15 if you had development time. But you're right. He like. I don't know another actor that I've seen that, but he really changed. And not only got older, he still looks really good, but his like, the hair, really the face, like it morphed and changed.
The shape of the face changed.
The shape of the face changed.
Yeah. Morphology.
Yeah. There we go. Yeah, let's get highfalutin. The morphology of the face topography.
Dude, it took me so long to realize that Casper Darling from Control is Alan Wake's voice. And I was like, what? And then I heard Casper Darling again. I was like, oh my god, it's him.
I think that is another thing. There are times where I feel like I could see it dubbed.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not crazy.
Like sometimes, especially in the beginning, like in the show, like
yes,
the guy Mr. Door was by the way, amazing actor, phenomenal. But he was talking and it like looked so natural. And then it went to Alan Wake, and you could tell it's dubbed. It feels like you're watching one of those Chinese movies. But dubbed in
really,
English,
it's something they did. They tried to make sure that the processing was done to make it appear it was in an open room versus like they did all the stuff they were supposed to.
It's hard to get right.
It is. It seems to be insanely hard because when he talked, I was like, that's not that. This is definitely dubbed in. Also, somebody had said they wanted to see Unrecord and Red Dead mixed. So Red Dead, I think, can look. I still want it to look a little I don't know what the term would be. But Red Dead looking like full motion would be cool to see.
What was that game? Mad Dog McCree. FMV, but
Matt Sewer Shark, Mad Dog McCree, those were the shit. And I told you guys, bitty graphics, Xvid codec, probably worse. And I remember going, this is the future, man. These guys are real people. And now as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh, maybe I don't want that. Does any game get better? Lance says, does any game have better stills in their photos than Red Dead 2? So I think he's saying, is the better, photo mode the best in Red Dead 2?
I don't know about better, but I really like the system in Starfield a lot, and I've gotten really, really good landscape pictures, and they show up as like loading screens. Yeah, that's the only one I engaged with because of the loading screen.
So did I. It was awesome.
Yeah, I don't usually engage with the.
And Spider-Man 1 was awesome because it added the comic book frames, and then anything that messes with it a little bit. And I remember Starfield, I took a picture. I didn't know this because I don't think we were told in the review embargo. And I remember it popped up and I was like, that's for sure this alien. I've never seen an alien this close. Like, it's or the terramorphs or whatever you call it. And I was like, that's my picture. And that was awesome. Maybe they announced it prior and I just didn't pick up on that. But I thought it was incredible.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 has a great photo mode too.
I
also got some cool frames and stuff.
Yeah, I saw some of the ones you posted. I think any of the really heavily action-packed or, strangely enough, the very sedate ones. Red Dead, no matter how much action, I would not take a picture of the action in Red Dead, but I would for sure take a picture of my horse and a sunset.
Like fishing.
Sure.
Yeah,
smoking a cigar.
Oh, dude, it's so mind-blowing, man. It's so, like, and it's for insane. A game that now is 5 from release, but another two or 3
and remember,
or 4
it ran on like the base PS4.
I know. That's what Abzi was
like,
saying. They had
played
a lot
that
of tricks,
whole thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
Oh, dude, Xbox's original one it played on. Like, that's mind-blowing when you know.
I didn't even play it on a PS4 Pro. I played it on like an OG PS4.
Same.
Yeah. The shit, man, the fucking heaters, the fan.
It did like thermal throttle, but you know, it ran it.
It ran well, man. It ran well.
Speaking of that, in particular, of all the systems I've ever owned, PlayStation 5 in particular, PlayStation 4 Pro did this, but I've noticed I've got more this system is too hot. Pause the game or turn it off than I've ever expected in a console system.
I've never seen that.
I thought I was unique until a couple days ago. I searched it, and it
happened a lot in FF16 with people. By the way,
yes, FF16 was the major offender, but I was surprised Red Dead was in there. So was Spider-Man. There were a bunch, and it was like a certain boss or whatever seems to have uncapped something.
Really?
Neo 1 or 2 had an uncapped menu, and I remember somebody figured out a frame rate check, and it was like at 240. And the PS4 would just be like, it would just shut off, you know. But I've noticed that's popping up more than, well, one time is more than I would like. But it's just interesting.
So it just tells you to stop playing? Like on PS5, you're playing and...
Yeah, which is even more interesting because this is going to be, just bear with me, but if the warning's there, they knew it would pop up.
True.
And so it's odd that like that it's there and it has like 2 versions. It's like turn this off and then you can go back to the game, or you have the hard reset, which is where it'll flash up and the moment you hit anything it turns off. And I thought that was, you know, it sort of makes you understand their development issues they may have. And I think with PlayStation, I think we can all agree, even just amongst us, it's the one we always mention as heating up in certain games. You know, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro, PlayStation 5, it's like you turn it on, you play some games, and you're like, my house is on fire. You know, like the whatever's going on in there, their cooling is blowing a shit ton of heat out, which is what's supposed to happen. But you definitely notice it.
Yeah.
Jesus Crust says, Cyberpunk photo mode looks great. Yeah, I saw some people mentioning that. I didn't mess with the...
Me neither.
I didn't mess with Cyberpunk. Did you, Abzi? Like when you did this new 2.0, did you mess with the Cyberpunk?
I just never engaged with photo modes in general. So I just kind of live in the moment type thing.
Jake says, as a photographer, the skill and techniques of getting certain shots, especially with nature, eliminates all that, and I can't get any satisfaction. Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's never bothered me. But I can see why that might, if somebody, like when somebody watches a movie and they know martial arts and they see something stupid, they'll be like, you know, I can't watch it. I usually disconnect because it's a game. PS4 was literally that thermal paste. Lance says, once it goes, system overheats a ton. Yeah, I think we all know that. What else do we got? We're at 3 hours, 10 minutes. We are now officially over the campaign time of Call of Duty 3.
Almost a COD campaign.
Dude, it's sad stuff, man. It's sad stuff, but such is life. There's so many good games. Who gives a shit? Like, I'm not even gonna stress about it. It's dumb.
Yakuza soon, dude. Yakuza so soon.
The man who forgot long names. Come on, man. We're getting to the point.
Soon.
Come on, they got to fix the names.
Like
so can we all agree?
Gaiden, the man who I'm still gonna call it Yakuza. Okay, it's not like a dragon to me. It's Yakuza.
Oh, because they kept the battle system in the real time.
No, No, Yakuza's always been called Like a Dragon in the Japanese, like the Japanese name for Yakuza is Like a Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
So now they switched all the Yakuza's coming out now is called Like a Dragon and not Yakuza. I don't know why. I think like ever since they started that, they've been releasing the games simultaneously, because before they would release the Japanese version and then a year later but now they're releasing them simultaneously. So
did you guys see that the creator of fucking Shenmue said he wants to make another one? And I was like,
oh my goodness,
you got a hill.
Are you sure?
Yeah, exactly. Are you
sure?
They need to have 3 Steves in the room and be like, okay, bro, it would be great, but let's look at your last one.
Run me through the project again.
Run me through the project one more time. And how are you gonna face off against Yakuza? Now, admittedly, dude, I'd be excited, but the last one was
good,
bombed, and the original 2 never sold anyway. It's like Alan Wake. Alan Wake 2 finally is selling well, which is really exciting to see Remedy do well. So he could do well. But when I read it, I was like, maybe he was just saying in my dreams, I hope I could make one, because Yakuza's hard. I mean, Shenmue technically is like its older brother. I don't know how a Shenmue is going to come and
it'd have to separate itself somehow.
Yeah, and I don't know.
No.
I mean, dude, Yakuza's, for all the glitz of battles and stuff like that, the best part is walking around a town, and it looks really good. You can interact, you can do all the mini games. Shenmue tried that, and everything was boring. Like, somehow Yakuza makes the mini games somewhat fun.
And memorable. People still to this day, they talk to you about like, oh, the first Yakuza I played had this karaoke.
Did you guys know that this new Yakuza was DLC? You guys knew that, right? This new man who forgot his name.
Of what, Like a Dragon, or
I guess so. They only made it. It only took them six months or 8 months to make. You know,
quick.
But a shorter one, stuff like that. But I mean, that doesn't.
But it's a full priced title, I think.
And well, also Yakuza games can go forever, so it's like you don't know about the length and stuff. But they've been talking about how they've done a pretty good job in their development and understanding how to get a game out quicker. I also think Yakuza, I mean, they all repeat the same world, or the same, not all of them, but most of them repeat the same cities. So I think there's that too, where you can look and go, we already know the city.
You don't need to invent a city from scratch.
And imagine the shorthand with another developer. When you're like, remember in this last one where you went around the corner? Let's do something like that in this corner.
Yeah, just like boot up Camarucho. Let's brush it up a bit.
Just call it that, Camarucho.
Plus, Gaiden is real time, and I think with Lost Judgment, they finally, I think it's like Lost Judgment hit like the combat in it is perfect. It's perfectly tight, and if they just build off that for Gaiden, you know, maybe that's I still like fucking Judgment, Lost Judgment more than I do Yakuza. I don't know why. It's just more.
I would agree.
It just they're all good, but man, when you're doing Lost Judgment and in the way they react to you and the different jobs you do just fits a little bit more. I love the craziness in Yakuza, but Lost Judgment was like, we'll have some of that.
A bit more grounded.
Yeah, and yet still, I mean, it is grounded, but some of the side missions, not side missions, but side jobs you do are still
that's where they let their hair down. It's in the side stuff.
Yeah.
They did silliness about investigating or doing a trial about who stole the cake from the fridge.
Do you know what's weird too?
Objection.
Do you know what's even weirder is I don't know if they would. So we've already talked about Yakuza has some questionable stuff that like Western devs wouldn't get away with. But not only that, some of the repetitiveness I noticed a lot of people let them get away with too, where you know, you'll do a mini game and you'll be like, it's pretty much a mini game from the other one. And they put it in the new one. And
yeah, give me the Cabaret Club again. I swear.
Yeah, exactly. And
again.
Exactly.
Because it was that good. It was that good. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they definitely introduce new things anyways to each single one.
Yeah. But the root of the mini game is fun.
Like you're always gonna have karaoke, except I think Judgment didn't have karaoke.
Right, because of that weird
there's
Rockstar thing, or what did he do? Get cocaine or something, and they cut his voice out.
I forgot. It was like something, but no, there's some constants that are gonna stay. Like you're always gonna see what the fuck is that game that I can never play? The what's that game, dude? The one where you match like images of stuff. It's like a fuck, I don't know. There's like the Japanese chess, and then
the little tiles, the one with the tiles.
Yeah. Oh my god, I don't know how to play that game, dude.
Mahjong?
Mahjong, dude. How the
Mahjong.
fuck dude, it's I could never get that. I could never get it.
I thought,
every
it's
new
funny.
Yakuza I play, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, buckle down, and learn.
Yeah,
buckle down.
I thought I understood that game, Abzi, but I think I played like a child's version or something because I saw it in a movie and nothing made sense about the way they were playing it.
Yeah, there's so many different rules and different things.
I felt the same way in Valhalla. They had the tile game in Valhalla, and I played it like twice.
One.
Did you? Because I played it twice, and I'm like, I still don't even know really what's going on. I'm out, and I just never did it again unless I had to.
Every time I go to a new town, I would like look for the
one guy that like sits out there with his board to defeat you.
Like Gwent.
And they'll be like, hey man, this is the starting city and this is the starting guy, and I still couldn't beat him. And I was like, yeah, this is probably an indicator that I shouldn't try to face off against the more, the smarter.
I think I was playing Yakuza once, and my friend was with me on Discord, and I was streaming it, and he's like, he knows how to play Mahjong somehow. And I was like, yeah, do this now, yeah, do that. Nothing makes sense though,
nothing
because
makes sense.
Stuff and nothing made sense to me, but
that's like
it's like Bamboozle. Let's play Bamboozled, and they have like all these crazy ass rules, and
I'll tell you a game that is easy, and I do somewhat understand the rules, but I can never do well or grasp, and that's Uno. Of all the games in the world, it's the most basic. I mean, it's not the most basic because there's some things you build, and when you're good, you can tell because you'll be like, oh my god, like what the fuck's up? My friends will try to they'll try to bring it out, and it's a joke now with my friends to mention it if they want to piss me off, because I'll be like, "Fuck no, I'm not playing that game." Like it makes me mad when I play it. I'm like, sometimes have you ever played a game where you're like, this has to be more complex than I'm thinking, because it's almost like war when you're a kid with 2 decks of cards. My card is higher than your card. Yeah, I feel that way, even though I know it's not that way, and I'm like, dude, I hate this game. I think with mini games though, you do get the awesome ones, where sometimes, whatever that means, like Cabaret for a lot of people or whatever, where they get it and they're like, dude, I could play, I would pay 40 for, just this
game. Yeah.
It's awesome
Gwent
to see.
was like that.
Oh, another one I got addicted to. It was very, very simple, but I got really addicted to bouncing the ball on your foot in Watch Dogs Legion.
Dude,
and I would just see...
Is that not ridiculous? So did I. Yeah, dude, what the hell is that all about? Because I remember just being like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just sitting here trying to do this. Like my friends are dying and getting, kidnapped and taken to jail. I'm like, let me bounce this soccer ball for another 45 tries. Such an odd thing. What else do we got? Anybody in chat? You got any questions? Got a bunch of games coming out. We got Yakuza, and then Mario. Broken Roads, Mario.
Mario.
Pandora is coming out December 7th, I think.
I played another game called Endless Dungeon this week.
Oh, yeah. So what did you think of that? Because I saw some people pinging everybody about it.
It's pretty cool. It's not like, top tier roguelite game or anything, but it is a cool mix of roguelite and tower defense for those who like it. It has like full co-op and stuff. I liked it. It's fun. It seems fairly casual. So I don't think it's like super deep or anything, but it does seem pretty fun. And it's something that, for like $20, if you do have a friend to play with, I think it can be pretty fun. I was trying to get Abzi
Space guys, right? This is from them. This is from
it is, but I have to caution people, it's different. So if you're a fan of that game, just be aware it's not that. It's not like a sequel.
They watered down a lot of Dungeon of the Endless stuff, right? Made it like into a different
So it's different as its own thing. I think it succeeds. It's fun and enjoyable, but I was trying to get Abzi to play it, so maybe we'll try some co-op.
You can do co-op. You can do like 2 people at the same time. Going through that.
4. I think 4 is max.
4 is max on it, even though
I'm
it's
not
more
sure.
You don't think it'll be like?
I know 3 is allowed. I don't know if 4.
Gotcha. There was one other thing I did want to talk about, early access. So last night I was laying in bed, I was looking through my tablet, I was looking at news and all these websites, and I was reading about board game stuff, and this board game pops up and it looks awesome, right? I'm like, oh man, they're basically reviewing / previewing it. And I'm telling you, man, my patience level is now less than 0 for fucking early access stuff.
Negative.
I almost tossed the tablet. I was so mad. I got into it, and then I scrolled down, and no lie, not at the starting, at the fucking end of a 2-page, this is the greatest goddamn thing ever, blah, blah, blah. It says sponsored by, and then it says Indiegogo, and I click it, November 2024 for the fucking release. And like to jump in is $120 because it's a board game, right? They're going to grift you in every way possible. And I got to tell you guys, I get it because I did a Kickstarter. I know what it's like to not have money and think you have a good idea. But we're at this fucking point now where every single thing is like this. Everything I look at, and I think it's bothering me more because I see it in games, early access, Project Zombioid or Zombied or whatever, you know, those things. Reg and I joked, it was prior to Kickstarter when we went to a web page to kickstart that. I don't even think it was on, I think it was their own personal web page. But it's impacting my physical games enjoyment, board games and stuff like that. And they've been doing it for a long time, but I'm just seeing it everywhere I go now. And it bothers me even more when at the bottom, they talk it up and you read it like it's a person giving their honest opinion, right? And then they say November 2024, sponsored by. And you're like, everything this person said, we have no clue if it's even going to come out. You have no clue if 2024, which, by the way, for board games, they're one of the #1 most delayed Kickstarter type or board games. And I'm just sitting there going, like, every goddamn thing I look at now is early access. There was another really cool jet game that I saw on Steam. Somebody was talking about, and they fucking didn't say it was early access. And you click on it, and you're like, you know, and you read the early access reasoning. And dude, I'm telling you, the reasoning has to be written by ChatGPT now. Go to any Steam game and look at their reasoning for early access. We think our fans, blah, 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 and you're just like, dude, you're fans. You have no fans. You're brand fucking new.
It's like that friggin' Cyberpunk template for the apology.
Right.
Where everybody is...
dude, you hit it perfect. That's exactly it. It's a Cyberpunk apology. And what's weird is they'll say, we think our fans, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, you have no fans. This is your first game. And it's day 1 for your Steam page. You do not have fans currently. What are you talking about? It makes there's nothing logical about what they're saying. And it's like all these titles. And so people get mad at AAA, and I get that, or they get mad at AA, you know, you get mad at prices, but I don't know. It's just killing me. It's like everything I see now. And handhelds are doing it. The Windows PC handhelds, like the Legion, that one's a legit company. You could say Ally, they're a legit company, but I think they're fucking donkey shit. But you look at a lot of these other ones, and they're these Kickstarter companies, which I was telling Abzy, you don't know what your support's going to be like. Like, at least with the Lenovo, you know the support's going to be alive tomorrow, hopefully. But it's starting to kill. It's not killing my enjoyment. It's just I'm finding myself getting old man angry. Like, get off my lawn whenever it just seems like I'm seeing it.
All the videos that crop up with a title like Best Roguelite or whatever, and it doesn't say it's early access. You have to click the video, and then at some point they say, keep in mind this is early access. I've wasted 5 minutes of my time listening to you because I'm not interested in yet another early access.
It's why I just don't do reviews for them or anything. It's like, what does this even mean? What is it? You know, preview impressions are fine. And somebody brought up that other game. We'll end on this, but the open world Division, whatever game, the day before, or the day after, or Tomorrow's Never Die, or whatever. Trailer? Yeah.
Dude, they copied GTA 5. They took the same exact narrator and the same exact shit. She said, "What the fuck are they? They're just trolling, right?
They have to be. They have to be trolling. Because it's it's almost like the comedian who, once they get away with saying something, then it's edgy, and you know they're aiming for that, and it's like they want to piss off this certain group. I feel like they want to piss off all gamers. Because it has now come to the point where they've copied so many things that even if you don't know a ton of games, you will probably watch one of the 5 trailers they've done and go, that's copying like, what is going on? You've copied almost word for word this thing.
Yeah, and you're releasing it to the internet where people like instantly.
That's why,
tell,
dude. It has to be the world's biggest troll. It's almost like at some point Peter Molyneux is going to come out and be like, "Haha, it was all a joke. It was me." And you're like, "All right."
What if the game is really good? What if it comes out and it's just like blows?
Then I will love it, and I will still bitch that their way they did it was terrible. But I would love it, because I like those. You know, if a game's good, a game's good. But I got to tell you, whatever's happening right now, it's almost like. Yeah, like there's something about it that almost feels like the world's biggest ARG, augmented reality game. And you find out that it's all these trailers have a hidden message or something. Oh, it's like actually Division 3.
That's like a Remedy thing,
Yeah, what if they finally say, actually, we've been working on Division 3 in the background and, this is all just a joke.
And we have Sam Lake.
Yeah, dude, I don't know, man. Like I said, it probably sounds like an old man, but when I see it and I see this stuff continually, and that one in particular, it's like they're using what positive do they get out of it? Like, I don't understand what positive would they get out of just continually. And by the way, some of them, because I think it's Chinese, right? Or am I wrong on that?
I have no idea.
Okay. But if anybody speaks even the most, if there's no translator needed, you speak the most basic English, you can look in the comments of all their videos and go, something's wrong. Like, you could hire me. You could hire somebody from Fiverr and say, please read my comments, translate it to, because I believe it's a Chinese-based company. It's like somebody's got to point this out. But I could be wrong. Oh, investor money, Bill says. Hey, maybe it is. Maybe they've got him. Maybe it's like Skull and Bones or whatever, where they've got him and they just don't care. Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones, I have this feeling, will be like, welcome to the ACG Best Gaming Podcast. This is the last podcast of all time. We're done. Skull and Bones still isn't out. Like, there's a very high chance we'll be at 8:48, and that game will still not be.
It's like nobody wants to make that game, but they have to because of like contracts and shit.
And we joked about this on the Wednesday, maybe the last Wednesday podcast, but I said at some point some of these games we're going to get a behind the scenes, like a documentary of what it was like making it. You can't tell me that somebody's not working on this game right now. Like, that some interviewer isn't talking to all the devs going like, what's really going on? There's going to be some expose. Because it seems to me it's far past a joke. It's now it's not even a meme. It's past a meme. It's almost where people don't care anymore. Like, I don't know if you guys saw, but I think it was PC Gamer. They said, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm saying it's been delayed again. You know what I mean? Like, you're just like, all right. Even Beyond Good and Evil isn't mentioned in that way. And Beyond Good and Evil was announced in, like, I don't know, 1914. It feels like that was on World War II posters and shit. Like, that game's been forever. Yeah. What else do we got before we wrap it up? Is that it?
I think that's it.
Yeah.
3 hours, 25 minutes, longer than the campaign. If you guys get a chance, jump to the Patreon. Jump into Discord. We have an awesome Discord. We're doing games, chats. We've been doing chats for the last couple weeks. Big game chats. You will see some reviews from me. Johnny will be streaming tomorrow.
Yes, I'm streaming my Alan Wake 2 playthrough.
Alan Wake 2.
You can find me
I'll watch.
Johnny Plays Live on
Do
Twitch.
it early so I can watch while I'm at work.
You got it.
Makes me want to hire
I'll change
Absy.
my schedule completely to suit your...
Yes, please.
Please do. And his boss right now is listening, just shaking his fucking head. He's just like...
I don't even know why I go in on Saturdays. I do nothing.
Why do you go in on Saturday? I don't understand. What do you do? Are you working 6 days a week?
Because I do work. I work 6 days a week. And my work usually involves other businesses because I'm procurement coordinator. So on Saturdays I literally don't do much other than work on my other stuff. So and tomorrow I don't have much. I might just not go in, man.
Do you have a boss who's in there with you, or is it just you alone?
I don't really have
a boss in that way.
I don't really have a boss in that way. I don't have like someone seeing when I'm coming in and leaving and stuff. I just
I wouldn't go in on the 6th day then. Oh yeah, I mean, can you do them at home?
Yeah,
I would just do them at home.
But I don't have to ask for tomorrow, So
I do like going into the office sometimes though. Sometimes it unclicks you from the rigmarole of day to day. It's like job is here. I'm doing job. I don't know I don't know how you work.
I'm the same way.
Not a huge fan.
I don't like work from home. I did it for a while. I wasn't a big fan.
Yeah. It's like it can work for some, but then there's that time where suddenly, especially for me, I have a tendency sometimes to work over or whatever, and I'm like, well, that's not really healthy. Like at some point, I need to separate it. All right, everybody, check out Johnny Plays Live, Twitch, streaming tomorrow. That'll be it for us. Peace out, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I hope you get some good gaming in.